What up, what up? A2HH Live on a Wednesday. Mike D here. A2HH Live on a Wednesday. Mike D here. Coop to the right of me. How we doing, sir? What is there to talk about today?
Right.
Want to welcome everybody into the room. Make sure everybody subscribes, hit that like button, thumbs up button in the chat so we can get more and more people in here. It's a lot going on right now, right? The announcements got everybody going crazy. But in the meantime, how's your day been?
Daughter got her permit today.
Oh, congratulations.
So officially driving. Took her to work. My boss hit me up. I had to go shoot down to the city and take care of some things for work. Hopefully that'll give me some good favors so I can get off early so we can do the Stationhead into midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to put in a little good favor today.
Stationhead midnight tomorrow night. At least that's what we are planning on doing.
Yeah, my goal and my prayer is that my boss is going to give me a little grace and a little favor and let a brother slide by 11:15.
11:15. Either way, we're going to make it happen. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Business is good at the job. It's just like, it's actually been way more than we expected. Like, I've been working 14-hour days nonstop. So it's like, yeah, hopefully a little reprieve and we'll get it in. About Magic 2. You want to know what? The album cover is great.
I love the album cover.
I love the album cover. It's actually one of his better album covers, Mike.
We're going to talk about the whole series. And when people were commenting on the album cover as soon as it was released or the announcement was made, and for the people who don't know what we're talking about, Nas announced that Magic 2 will be released Friday. And so he put the album cover out there, and a lot of people were commenting on how much they love the album cover. And I thought to myself, like, all of these album covers for the whole KD series and the Magic series now have been dope album covers.
This album cover is probably a top 3 album cover for him, though. Like there's the Illmatic cover, I personally like the I Am cover a lot. Just
Do
like
you? Okay.
like I just like the all gold everything and kingly look of it. We originated from kings.
Yeah, I love that album cover too. It has a classic look.
It has a classic look to it. This is the other album cover that I think of where I'm like, yeah.
I
Life
love
is good.
The Stillmatic album cover. I love the Life is Good album.
I'm about to say, for me, it would be the Illmatic album cover, the I Am album cover, the Life is Good album cover, and then this one. This album cover sticks out to me. There's something about it. Because just me, I'm a foreshadower and a foreteller, and I believe in prophecy. And so what I see from the cover is like the blending of the two worlds. So you have to understand that it's like what people I think need to understand just based on the cover. We're not getting Magic 1.
Right.
Magic 1 was him channeling Nasty Nas, Illmatic, pre-Illmatic-ish Nas. The reason that there's a blend is that you're getting the kid and you're getting the grown man. And that's why there's the split. So expectations of it being Illmatic probably need to cease if you're paying attention to the album cover, because his album covers usually tell the theme.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
You're right. 36 Chambers with a super chat says, Mic volume is low today, fellas. I'm sure they're working on that behind the scenes. Appreciate that love. Spurs 22 with the super chat is this a $65 super chat or is this in another currency? Not sure. Well, either way, appreciate the love. He says, which producer is great at making beats, but bad at picking the right artists to rap on them? In my opinion, low-key Metro. Excited for Magic 2. Love from Sweden. Okay. Those currencies are from Sweden. Appreciate the love, Sweden. Mike H with the super chat says volume low, fellas. I'm sure we're working on that. How's the volume, guys? How's the volume? Let us know when we're good.
Yo, turn my mic up, son. Turn my mic up.
My snare. But yeah, man.
Turn me up in the headphones.
Speaking to that producer thing, right? I don't think that Metro chooses bad people to rock to his beats. I think that they might not be the most lyrical people that folks are looking for. I think 21 Savage is perfect for his beats.
That's a little Southern shade.
Yeah.
But there's also some truth in it, because if 21 is the best MC that's rhyming over Metro's beats, then it's going to be hard for Metro in some circles to get the flowers that he deserves for being the best beat maker of this generation. Not the best producer, but the best beat maker.
I see him actually turning into more of a producer. I think we saw that.
I think we're watching it happen.
Yeah, we're watching it happen like in real time right now.
But now the artists need to start coming, because here's the reality of the matter too. For what Metro does, it is more of a vibe. It's a dope ass vibe. And what, upper echelon MCs are gonna step to the plate and catch wreck, like a J. Cole or a Kendrick or a Drake.
It's something that
we know what Drake sound like on Metro already, though.
Right. It's something I used to ask back in the day, and this is when I was on my rapidy rap stuff. This is when Lil Jon really started pushing through and making more production that was based on, the MCs that were actually going to be featured on his albums. And I used to always think, like, who has performed the best over a Lil Jon beat? And for a minute, it was Ludacris with B.I.B.I. But then Ice Cube came. Oh, we got some double talk going on. We got some double talk. Yeah. But Ice Cube came through with the real nigga roll call. Ice Cube came through like Metro needs something like that, where somebody who's gonna get on the mic and beast on that shit. I would love to hear Ice Cube with it, but something new.
Ice Cube doing big 3 numbers right now that are better than the
Summer League.
Better than the Summer League numbers and better than MLB numbers.
That's dope.
So shout out to Ice
crazy.
Cube once
better
again.
Than MLB.
Yeah, he's
numbers.
doing better than him. I mean, I'm a Braves fan, and we have the best team in baseball. And I'll tell you, it's like I don't watch them. I just run to the stadium, though. Yeah. But baseball is something that's actually more fun to go to than The View, and always has been.
You know what? Growing up, it wasn't like that for me. But I guess maybe because I played. I used to love watching Griffey, Bonds. I would watch baseball tonight.
That's different, Mike. Ain't no Griffey or Bonds walking around. I'm sorry.
It's not. But I used to watch baseball games on TV from beginning to end. I can't do that anymore.
I don't have time for that shit.
Nah. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, if Magic 2 is anything like KD 3 or Magic 1, then we are looking at a strong album of the year contender already. 2023 has been light so far, so we needed this.
See, now,
yeah,
I like the Lil Jon context, because Lil Jon's had people like Ludacris, T.I., Nas, Jadakiss, Ice Cube. Ice Cube killed Real Nigga Roll Call and Grand Finale with Nas and Tip and Kiss and Bun B. Yeah. Now, I don't find Lil Jon to be the beat maker that Metro is.
I don't either. And I love Lil Jon as a producer, even though I think Blow the Whistle is probably his best beat, in my opinion.
You think that's the best one?
Blow the Whistle's crazy. That shit sound like some Mad Max shit. A quick story about Blow the Whistle, right? This is when I was in radio. I heard Blow the Whistle literally a year before everyone else did, and I was like, yo, this song is crazy. And it just went away. And then it came back like stronger than ever. And I was like, yeah, that's one of those ones. But maybe that's for me. I think that's his best beat. What do you think is Lil Jon's best beat?
I hadn't thought about it until you said something, though, Mike. I mean,
but he got some rappers rapping on his shit, something the Metro hadn't done.
He does. I was trying to think of what beat, like, I don't know, Mike. I mean, I hate to like go like chalk with it, but sometimes like chalk is it. And it did he produce Get Low?
Yeah. You like that beat like that?
Yeah, that beat's like
that. I think
that,
the
Mike.
Song is dope. I always like the other Yin Yang one.
The Whisper song?
Shit. Salt Shaker. I always like that beat better.
Really?
Yeah, Salt Shaker beat was hard. That doom.
In certain formats, Mike, that beat is better. But overall, no, there's something about the beat drop to Get Low, Mike. I would have to say. You know what else I was thinking about, though? Like, all jokes aside, Lovers and Friends is a dope-ass beat, too. That's what I mean. It's like, I hate to go chalk, but it's like some of his best stuff is some of his, like, biggest singles.
It's funny, man. My daughter didn't know Country Grammar when she heard it, but she knew Get Low. And, I mean, Get Low has just stood the test of time. It's crazy. I always thought the Country Grammar would have been the bigger song, but it's not.
It's not bigger and it's not better.
Clayton is asleep with the super chat says, how would y'all feel if Skyzoo and Nas record, classic collabo potential, Peace Brothers, love y'all, excited. We're excited too. I mean, yeah, we love Skyzoo jumping on a Nas record. I mean, Skyzoo consistent. It's New York, Brooklyn, Queens. I'm excited about the 50 thing though. But again, that's just me.
We're going to talk about the 50 thing. I'm not going to front. I'm legit excited.
I'm excited about that.
And I'm going to tell you why. It's like, I thought about something. It's like, they've never officially done a song together.
No, never. And to do it now, I mean, that's
crazy, and it's big.
I can't wait for us to do this Stationhead and to play that record.
I can't think of a guest appearance that he's had on an album that I've been more excited for. That's what's crazy about the 50 collab. It's like I was trying to think in my mind about another project that he released where I was excited about the person who might be guest appearing, and the only person I could think of was Black Republican with Jay.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that super excited about it because styles make fights, and I was kind of like, we'll see.
And clearly, 50's excited about this coming out too. 50 is doing promo for this album. I'm excited about that as well. Magic can't be ignored. We're going to talk about
Think
this,
about
though.
what that record sound like that 50 promoting it with Nas being in the zone he is. That means 50 stepped up to the plate.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. You got to read between the lines when stuff like this is going on. It's like, oh, 50 posted it. That means 50 went ham.
Exactly.
We already know what the other dudes rapping like.
And you know what 50 said about Nas?
Said he's the best.
Exactly. So with that being said, he brings his A game.
First of all, where 50 from?
Queens.
First of all, so we're not giving it up to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He from Southside Jamaica, Queens. Right.
I mean, even with all the trepidation that they've had in their past and this and that, he says Nas is the best. It is what it is.
Before the trepidation, though, was the bond.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
9 Plus with the super chat says, Magic came out in the winter. The music matched the vibe. I'm expecting Magic 2 to be different because it's being released in the summertime. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting perspective.
Well, the cover. All you got to do is look at the cover.
Okay. Web Visibility with the super chat says, Coop, I have a different take on the album cover. I think Nas is saying that he still has the same hunger as the younger version of him. I expect the album to be Illmatic-like. What say you to that?
No, that's that dumb shit where people keep on wanting it to be Illmatic-like for them instead of calling it what it is.
Magic.
Right. Right.
I think Magic has its own culture now.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Stop trying to make everything an Illmatic conversation.
Illmatic is gone. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but you know what I'm talking about.
It's not gone. I get what you're saying, but it's like,
as far as this current view,
it's like,
I'm looking at what they're doing now.
Like the only reason that we should be talking about Illmatic is saying that the lyricism on Magic is Illmatic-like.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because my thing is like,
there is nothing else.
When Michael came with Dangerous, we weren't talking about Off the Wall.
No.
That's how I feel about Illmatic at this time. Obviously, Off the Wall is a classic. You know what I mean? But we're looking at what's coming next. And he's current enough and been active enough where we owe him that at least to be like, yo, what are we talking about, an album that's 29 years old when you got 5 albums in 3 years?
We need to be talking about, it's like, that's what we need to be talking about. There's a couple conversations we need to have. We need to be having this 5 album in 35 month conversation.
Incredible.
Every 7 months.
Yeah.
Mike, 5 albums in 35 months, nigga, I can divide.
Yo, somebody sent me this clip of when Jay was on TRL back in the day, right? So he was talking to Carson Daly. I think that the Dynasty was on the way. And Jay was bragging about, you know, the fact that, yo, we just dropped, 4 albums? No, it was like 3 albums in like 4 years or something like that. And an incredible feat at the time. But if you told me in 2020 to 2023, Nas is going to drop 5 quality albums in 3 years, no one's had that output that is in his bracket. At this, I don't think anyone, period, let alone this deep in their career.
We're going to have a conversation about all these things, but Mike, this is what I mean. And this is why you know the most powerful thing that Dame said when we're going to talk about the Dame interview?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
When he talks about how the media and how people who want to be certain things in the media control the narrative. So you're talking about the TRL interview where he's like, we just made 3 albums in 4 years. Duh, so did Nas. It's called It Was Written I Am and Nostradamus, Mike. 96, 98, 99. The same thing's been going on. It's just how it gets broadcasted is different. Dame's alluding to that in the interview he does. It's like, well, he's like, no, he's like, from my perspective, he's like, Nas's business acumen, it looks pretty high over here.
Yeah, if we're looking at just business to business, yeah.
Right, and we've been having this conversation. It's like, look what he's been really doing in business the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's part of what makes the rap thing impressive.
L Boogie with the super chat. I'm sorry, L Bugs. I'm thinking about Lauryn Hill. I just got some Lauryn vinyl. L Bugs with the super chat says, shout out to Mike and Coop for hosting tomorrow's Stationhead listening party. going to be bananas. Yes, it is. Download Stationhead now. Follow According to Hip Hop. We're going to work it out. Midnight, debut Magic 2 with a group full of all of our friends. You guys join in so you can join the chat.
We also have to be patient because there's no guarantee. You know how this shit works sometimes. It's like midnight, sometimes be 12.
Yeah.
Midnight, sometimes be 12, 11, 12.
It's possible.
12:37. So also like need to be patient and mindful about that part too. So it's like it might be something that we might tentatively need to schedule more around 1 o'clock to be safe.
That's possible. That's possible.
Possible. I mean, I would like it if it's there at midnight. It's like, you know, we can roll it, but it's like be prepared for that too. It's like, remember when we waited on Nasir? I was hitting you up.
That was different. That's Kanye.
Hold on. Say it again, Mike.
That's Kanye. That's different.
Say fault at the end, Mike.
So that's Kanye's fault. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
From what whatever.
No, the plug done told me, she's like, it's really not Kanye's fault. He got stuff in his hands at the last minute. It's really Def Jam fault.
Okay.
I ain't trying to hear that shit.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, fellas, I've asked everyone this question. If Magic 2 is great or a classic, how is right now not Nas's prime? 5 great albums within 2 years and 11 months. He's never done that. Not even in his 20s. I can agree with that.
I'm going to say this again. I'm not sure if Prince or Stevie Wonder have done it, and those are the best album runs that we've seen, Mike. That's what I'm trying to say.
You want to talk about that?
We need to start contextualizing it musically if this album is actually great. Like, where it falls. That I told you, when I heard KD2, I'm like, no. He's kind of changing some things musically. Not hip-hop. Musically, as in, like, I ain't really heard nobody deliver like this late.
Is this his best 3-year run?
We're about to find out on Friday, Mike.
Okay. CJ Kid with the super chat says, when you say Nas and 50 never collaboed, do you mean that they have never been on a song with just them two alone? Because if not, they both were on Too Hot and Who You Rep.
Who I rep with.
Yeah.
Who I rep with, not who you rep with. Yeah. It's who I rep with. No, that's what I'm saying. Those aren't official songs. That's mixtape shit.
Yeah.
There's no 50 Cent featuring Nas or Nas featuring 50 Cent on any major label release. These records you're talking about are from like 1997.
I was gonna say, these are pre-Get Rich or Die Trying.
This is pre-Power of the Dollar.
Yeah, that's important to know.
Right.
Jay Short with the super chat says, with 50 doing all this promo, could Nas be hooking up with 50 on some more TV stuff too? That Invaders documentary was great. I like the Invaders documentary as well. Too. It took me a minute to actually go check it out. Once I did, it was awesome. I love the fact that they're working together because I think that, those two guys together is powerful. No pun intended. I'm looking forward to hearing the song, like I said.
I'm excited.
Let's see. Let me get to the rest of the super chat so we can get to this run talk. Jack Browning with the super chat says, love the show, guys. What you think about the Elliott Wilson comment / promo on Twitter? Has he already heard Magic and Saving Face? Can't ignore this run anymore. Well,
he was in the studio with Hit not too long ago. So
I mean, I think it's genuine. I think it's interesting to know, though. We saw, I mean, I think it's genuine wanting them on his platform. I'll say that. Because you and I sat here or, on our remote show or whatnot, we saw the whole run from KD, KD2 to Magic to KD3. Right. And one of the reasons why a lot of people have, rallied behind this channel is the fact that we were covering stuff that the mainstream media was ignoring. And that is Elliott Wilson included. When Magic came out, Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds, they tried to trash it. They tried to create the narrative and, similar to what Dame said, create some sort of notion out there that it wasn't as good as it actually was. But once the people spoke and, bucked back at that, now seems like they're falling in line. When Magic 2's coming out, now everybody wants to interview. Now everybody wants to talk about how incredible the run was. While the albums were actually coming out, it was either saying nothing or they would slander it without even actually critiquing the album itself.
So I want to be careful about how I approach a couple of these things because don't want to come off like a hater because don't give a damn.
Yeah.
And second of all, just want to qualify it clearly, because some people have been feeling like, some of the stuff that we've been saying, I guess juxtaposed to what Elliott Wilson has been delivering makes it seems like we have some sort of issue with him. I don't happen yeah, I happen to find him to be a solid and credible journalist, and at moments and times in his career, inspirational.
Definitely.
But what I will say is that for me, he has been part of the problem and the issue with the media from this perspective. He does what's convenient for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's convenient for him right now to pull up and call Nas and Hit Boy the best duo in the game to gain traction for what he has going on. Because the reality of the matter is that I'm not saying it because I said it. I'm just saying it because it's true. It's like, oh no, I was talking about that when I heard KD too.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is Gangstar level type stuff. When they started calling themselves the new Gangstar on Magic, like on Wave Gods, I'm like, no, that's appropriate. It's like that. So him pulling up a year and some change later about it, does it feel kind of coattailish? Yeah.
Well, let's reminisce into his backtracking of the It Was Written as well.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, we don't have to get into that to get into like what's benefiting these guys. What benefits a B Dot to say these things? What benefits an Elliott to say these things? Because it's like I almost and I'm not saying this to question them. I'm saying this that it's like, well, you do understand that they're saying this because it benefits them, and that puts the integrity of it in question in terms of like, well, do you mean that? Because it's easy to put a post out and say, oh, well, this is rap's best dude. Now explain it, though.
Yeah.
Tell me why you
well,
think
see, this
that.
is the thing. And the reason why I don't believe that, not to cut you off,
no, go ahead,
is the fact that they put out their lyricist list. I think it was B Dot that put out his lyricist list in the year that Nas dropped both. Well, actually, it was the time period when Nas dropped Magic and KD2. One of those. I think it was that year. Yeah. Anyway, Nas was left off the list. So if you think so highly of what they've been able to do together, why weren't you saying that in the moment?
Right.
I mean, because the proof's in the pudding. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about social media. You actually can go back and see what someone said in the moment. You can go back and see what we said in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All of our episodes, you can see what B Dot had on this list. He had some MCs that didn't do the MC work that Nas did in that year. But now people want to backtrack because the people have spoken and called their takes bogus. They're like, well, I guess we have nothing else to go on. We got to jump on the train.
I mean, and not being funny, with these two guys, it's like, well, they've been more right. I'm sorry, they've been more wrong than they've been right as journalists. Like in terms of their prognostications about what happens musically, if you go look at their histories, it's like, well, y'all aren't the ones that really should be the gatekeepers anyway about your ear.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because here's what I'm saying. And I thought about this today. Jay on the takeover solidified those things that were being said about It Was Written. And Elliott is a part of that.
Yeah.
And here's the reality of the matter. If you as a media and a hip hop person knew that you had power and sway in the media and said It Was Written wasn't that good, or that Nas had sold out, or that Nas had lost street credibility, well, understand you deserve the knock that you need to take today on your integrity as a journalist, because that's some bullshit. It's still one of the best rap albums I've ever heard. It's an easy top 50 album, Mike. It's an easy top 50 album. Think about what we're saying about an album that came out in 1996 that people were questioning. In 2023, I can tell you that's an easy top 50 album, which means what the fuck was it in 1996 really without these media contributions on the negative side to it?
Right.
And so it's like, no, that's what I mean. It's like, no, I'm not a hater, but let's also call a spade a spade.
I think for a lot of people who come from the old media of hip hop, they're so used to being able to control the narrative. Mm-hmm. Now they don't have that level of control, and now they have to listen to the people. And you're seeing how off some of their takes are, because you can't go out there and guide people in a direction anymore and say, oh, this album is this or this album is that. Like what he said about It Was Written back in the day, if It Was Written came out today, there would be no way he would be able to pull that off. And he knows that. And so now I think it's a little bit of game of catch up, and now it's like, okay, well, I got to ride with the people.
No, it's not even a riding with the people. That's what I'm saying is that because of who he is and because of the equity he built with this rap community and the media, and it's valid. You don't build that equity without being valid. So I'm not trying to take the validity of his equity away from him. Like, because it's
Can never do that.
It's built because he knows his shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because he's taking part in a lot of big moments. And he's actually stepped out on his own faith and started his own shit on multiple occasions.
Yeah. So ego trip.
Yes, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, don't think that it's like I'm hating. I'm just calling it like I see it.
Yeah.
And the reality of the matter is like, well, for as much as you contributed, it's like when I look at the contributions, it's like, well, your musical ear not like that. And that's just the reality of the matter. Because it was written that I heard at 15 and that you heard it like, 20-something. It's like, oh, I heard some of the best rapping I had ever heard. Turns out the 15-year-old was right. It's like that shit that you was talking, not so much. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, no, I'm going to stand on that, and I'm going to let you stand over there on that as long as I know you. Because that's a big, big misnomer for somebody that's a gatekeeper in this culture.
You're right.
No, I'm not giving you a pass about it was written.
In a pivotal year like 96. I think 96 is one of the most pivotal years in hip-hop history.
It's a top 5 rap year.
I think even outside of it being a top 5 rap year, it changed the course of the way things were going.
In that case, it's
an important year.
It's a top 3 rap year in terms of changing course.
To me, it's 88 and 96. A lot of people have pointed 94 because, Biggie, Nas, and Outkast. But this 96 was like, yo, we're here now. 96, radio play, commercial radio. You got, albums coming out the wazoo. Pac's doing what he's doing. 96 is important.
It is, and so let's go back to this whole thing, even with the standard, and even when we're talking about today's artists.
Mm-hmm.
No, stop telling me that it's okay for them just to make hits and not make great records.
You and I are going to talk about that.
96 is proof that that's some bullshit.
Where you can do both.
The Roots made Illadelph Half-Life, but they still had What They Do in the Hypnotic on their album.
Yeah.
If I Rule the World and Street Dreams, All Eyes on Me is a hit fest. Redman is making hits. The Fugees are making hits.
That man made Muddy Waters.
All of these albums are fucking brilliant and have hits on them. Yeah. Stop asking me to change the standard because these niggas can't rap and make songs like they used to. Step your fucking game up. Same thing with the journalists. It's like, no, stop telling me to be nice to Fam because Fam ear ain't like that. I ain't saying he ain't great. I'm saying when it comes to rating music, ear ain't like that because he done made too many missteps. Publications he has worked for has made too many missteps. Let's stop acting like the shit has happened. It's like you can be great and you can be fucking up.
Yeah. Oz P with the super chat says, if Magic is as good as KD3 and Magic, I guess he meant Magic too, Life is Good will fall between 8th and 10th place, depending on where you rank Godson, I Am, and KD2. That's insane. It is.
It's not.
To have a catalog like this is insane. Gary Pierce with the super chat.
If you go look at the people who are the greatest that they are in the other genres, it lines up. He's lining up on the top end of the spectrum the way he's supposed to. That's why it's like, well, no, what he's doing now, it's like, not any disrespect to any of the other MCs. It's like, well, this is musically speaking, this is not a Tupac and Jay-Z and Rakim and Biggie and Ice Cube conversation anymore. Mm-hmm. This is a Prince and Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Billie Holiday type of conversation. We're having different conversations now.
Well, the only thing I could really compare it to, again, is Tom Brady, man. It's like when Tom Brady exceeded everybody that we used to compare him to, it was always the whole Peyton Manning, and even Aaron Rodgers crept in the conversation for a second. But after you get 5, 6, 7, it's like, you know what, man? We don't even need to talk about anybody else anymore.
So look at this. Look at Tom Brady. The Brady and the Nas thing line up specifically about 2016. Mm-hmm. The 2016 year is Nasir. 2016 is the year that Peyton wins his other Super Bowl. And so if you look at the numbers, Tom's sitting over there with 4.
No, Nasir is 18.
18?
Yeah.
Feels so long ago, man.
It's because he's coming out with so much, you know?
Is that 18?
That's 18, yeah.
Shit. Yeah. So 16 and 18 for them line up because it's like, well, in You Know Who and in Peyton Manning, you have a guy and it's like, well, no, go look at those numbers. It's like, man, those numbers line up. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, then Tom Brady wins 3 more Super Bowls, another MVP, 3 more Super Bowl MVPs.
It's like the conversation's over.
What? 1 more all-team, first team All-Pro, 2 second-team All-Pros, all the Pro Bowls.
He got all the passing
and then breaks
yards
all, and then in the process,
touchdowns
and then in the process of all of that, breaks all the records too. And then it's like, okay, and that's why. And I hate to be bringing this up. Will you see? This is why I was bringing up the whole streams thing last year.
Yeah,
and that's how me and the plug actually ended up getting close, because it's like I understood. I was like, well, do you understand that if these numbers were even Lil Wayne like, that he would be so far ahead of everybody else in everybody's mind, it would be absurd. See, that's the one thing he's missing. He's missing those Tom Brady numbers to finish the deal. That's why I keep stressing the streams, because it's like, oh no, catalog, songs, singles, hits, guest appearances, contribution to culture, actual emceeing, flow, delivery, voice, lyrics, storytelling. He's literally like top 5 in all of these categories except for fucking sales.
Yeah.
He's top 5 at everything except for sales. Stop telling me that streaming shit don't matter.
But what I would ask you, and I know, you know, from a business standpoint, nobody wants to hear this, but with hip-hop being the anti-establishment.
It's the music business.
Yeah, it is the music business, number one. But see, you have a culture.
Business.
You have a culture that has been brought into a business that is about selling music, whereas the hip-hop culture is about not selling out and being anti-establishment. So you kind of almost have to play that middle ground, because the person that sells the most outside of like a Tupac and Eminem, a Nelly, or even a Drake to a certain degree, doesn't really get the love from the hip hop heads.
Hey, Mike.
Because there's, you know what I mean? Like they sold to it. That's why we have the whole term sold out. You know what I mean?
First of all, I think sellout actually started with LL Cool J and I Need Love. And I think that that's one of the dumbest things we've ever done in hip hop. Because nobody was calling Run DMC sellouts when they were going triple platinum, when niggas wasn't even going gold.
They didn't call him a sellout for doing Walk This Way? Because, I mean, I'm too young to even really know. But I know a lot of the OGs didn't like that record.
I don't give a damn. I was sitting there watching my cousins and their friends, like, jam to that record. Like, middle school and high schoolers, like, no. Nobody wasn't hating on Run DMC like that. Nobody was hating on Curtis Blow for doing Basketball. Nobody was hating on Houdini. These niggas was selling records, Mike.
Yeah.
Nobody was hating. So that whole thing, that whole keeping it real shit, that's some bullshit.
It's some
Mike.
hating shit. Let's just
it's
keep it real.
Bullshit.
Just like how we called out the Roots the other day for what they do. That was some hating shit. It is what it is.
So it goes back to the same thing, Mike. When these dudes like Mad Max be like, oh well, they didn't gotta make albums anymore. They make hits. It's like no. Stop giving these motherfuckers a pass. All the things, Mike.
Hold up, Coop. We missing some super chats because now it's going through fast. I missed one from Gary Pierce. If you could, if the producers in the back can let me know. We got one over here from A with the super chat. It says, I think what they're trying to do with this project is top Illmatic and end the nostalgia of Illmatic. Imagine that. Shout out to you guys. Love the show. Appreciate the love. 007 with the super chat. $20 super chat showing love. He says Nas will have 3 trilogies when it's all said and done regarding his catalog. But let's just enjoy the moment. Forget rap. What artist has this many quality albums in music? He's got damn near 30 albums with a third being classic.
That's a little heavy, but I hear.
AB Studios with the super chat says, keep in mind Elliott Wilson works for Jay-Z. He's mostly post Jay-Z for a reason. Of course, he don't speak highly of Nas.
Let's stop for a second. No, see, that's where the narrative needs to be wrong. That's the misnomer. He speaks highly of Nas. He just speaks in Jay in more glowing terms. As in, literally the day before that he posted the whole Hit Boy Nas being the best tandem thing, he posted that Jay-Z was the greatest MC of all time. So it's like that's my problem about him controlling the narrative, because it's like, well, before he'll give Nas his flowers, he'll pull up and call Jay-Z the GOAT the day before. And when the last time this nigga made a great album?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why are we even doing that?
Why are we playing those type of games? But he knows.
You know what I mean?
But he knows by spitting out that narrative on back-to-back days, he gets to help control the narrative more. So we got to stop feeding into the bullshit. And I don't mean that as disrespect to him, but that's some bullshit. When you sit up here calling Jay the GOAT, and it's like, you officially have no evidence. Those are your feelings and your opinions, fam. Yeah. And about your influence in the culture, you need to stop putting your opinions and your influence on people and start stating the facts. Jay don't got nothing for Nas anymore, Mike.
No. And I'm saying this as a person, when we started this show in 2020, before the KD series, I slightly had Jay over Nas. You know what I mean? But if you haven't changed your mind based on what you're hearing, you're not trying to change your mind.
This?
You're not being objective at this
you're
point.
Not being,
because you know what this is like, and not to bring up Tom again, but this is like when Tom goes to Tampa Bay, goes to the Super Bowl, and before the game, the announcer's saying, well, Peyton Manning's still the GOAT. Nigga, what? What are you talking
about? With what?
What are you talking about?
What?
This man's sitting at home. Let's keep it real, because right now, let's just keep it a buck. I love the whole Book of Hove thing. I think that's nice. But he's not putting out any music. He's sitting at home while you got the man who's supposed to be, you know, the debating one like we do with Peyton and Tom. He's out here dropping 5 quality albums in 3 years. Y'all ain't on the same page anymore. It's a different level right now.
Like, a couple of these albums are classic or classic-like. Like, what are we talking about?
Godfather with the Super Chat says, Nas is doing this for the love, as for the real fans. Do we have that Gary Pierce Super Chat over there, Ron? Yeah, all right, cool.
Very proud.
I want to put some respect on his, his Super Chat.
We appreciate Gary Pierce. He's been watching the show for a long time.
Charles Manning with the Super Chat says, do you think any other producers will be featured on Magic 2 like DJ Premier did on Wave God? I mean, if it's Premier, maybe for scratches, but I would rather it just be Nas and Hit Boy, in my personal opinion.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, Preem helped. You know, he did the scratches for some stuff. He did some stuff on Magic and on KD3 as far as contributing behind the scenes.
Right.
So Preem is like there, you know what I'm saying? And I think Preem is one of those guys, I think, where him and Nas kind of like, and here's why people should want that. I think their hip-hop aesthetics match. Not just the musical aesthetics, their hip-hop aesthetics. They really care about the culture. Like for Preem doesn't need you to know that he's pulling samples to help KD3.
Yeah.
He wants to do it because he wants the album to be great because he understands who Nas is for the culture.
It's similar to what Killer Mike was talking about on the Michael album, where Ray Murray from Organized Noise was in there. He wasn't trying to jump on there and
he's
produce,
like, let
give
me
you
hear
a beat.
that.
I'm in here to keep the culture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Keep it Southern. Like, make sure that you stay on pace and on course rather.
No, on course and on coast.
Yeah.
Correct.
That too, East Coast. Mommy, your thoughts with the $20 Super Chat showing love. He says, what's up, A2HH? Do you believe Magic 2 will exceed 9 tracks, or would that be a good thing for the Magic series? I think that's a great question. I would like to see 9 to 10 tracks, to be perfectly honest.
I think we're getting a 12-piece.
A 12-piece? Okay.
I think we're getting a 12-piece.
And Coop has no inside information.
No.
We'll see who's right. I got 10, you got 12. Over, under. Mad Max in the building with the Super Chat. He says, I never said why they got to make albums when they had hits. You got to provide evidence of me saying that, because I never said anything close to that.
I mean, you referenced some Kendrick Lamar and some J. Cole albums. They, quite frankly, the songs on there and the hits on there and the album, it's not like that. So you kind of are saying that by the albums that you're referencing. You do understand that, right? The albums that you reference would indicate that you're saying those things. Meanwhile, I can reference It Was Written, which has If I Rule the World and Street Dreams on it. But it also has I Gave You Power. It also has I Gave You Power, Take It in Blood, and Silent Murder in the setup. Stop giving younger rappers passes because you like their brand.
We don't even have to go back that far.
I'm cool if you want to do the brand thing. I want dudes to make their money, Mike. But stop talking this music shit to me like these dudes is like that. I'm sick of the get off my lawn thing, because this younger generation hasn't stepped up and made better music, and I'm serious. It wouldn't be a get off my lawn if you would get the fuck up and step up and do your job to the fullest of your capability.
I mean, who's really the best MC in the game?
Instead of being worried about your brand, we're talking about him, Mike. He's fucking 50. That's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Mike, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't even like the fact that the best MC in the game is 50. That means these niggas is weak and this shit is tired and they need to step the fuck up. They should not be letting this 50-year-old man out-rap them. That's fucking absurd.
It is.
These niggas should be ashamed of themselves.
I agree.
I want them to be mad at me and be indicted by what I'm saying. All you niggas right now are letting a 50-year-old out-rap you. You should be ashamed of yourself and your craft.
And you know what? When 21 Savage got on Clubhouse and tried to call him irrelevant, you know what happened? He got a call. He got on the track with the guy and got out-rapped by the 50-year-old. on top
A
of that.
50-year-old is out rapping you niggas. Like, where is your competitive spirit at? Like, that don't make you feel something inside, Mike?
I don't
me,
get it.
if I was in the game and I'm watching this old dude, like I'm talking about a dude that I literally probably listened to since I was a kid, and he's out rapping me, you not taking that shit personally?
Yo, I remember when Ab-Soul got on that record.
Out rapping you.
I remember Ab-Soul got on that record with
old.
Common that they never put out, Welcome to Black America. And he went crazy on Common. And I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
The fuck? You gonna let this whole nigga
He's
out
like,
rap
listen,
you?
I'm in my prime.
You know how many rhymes that Common is spit? You better be out rapping him in your prime. What are you doing?
You know what? I remember when Tracy McGrady went out there and made
Just dusted
the
Mike.
Wizard Jordan
he just dusted
look
Mike.
foolish. I
Listen,
felt bad. But
I
that's the
didn't
way
feel
it's
bad.
supposed to be.
Mike ass shouldn't have been playing basketball against McGrady that night. He should have put somebody else on and be like, you take him.
I think Kobe hit him for 50 or something.
This is like 48, 40. It might have been 50. Shit.
36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, with Nas saying that premiere album still might happen on a track 30 on KD3, do you think that we might see that sometime in the near future, given his ridiculous output these past few years? Do we even need that with Hit Boy now? I don't even think we need that, but I think we could see it. It could happen, but I don't think we need that.
I don't think it's a ridiculous sentiment.
LP with the super chat says, Elliot been controlling the Nas narrative since 96. Well, sounds like it's over. Sounds like he conceded.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. No. People like him and B-Dot are still controlling the narrative. You know, it's just that, well, quite frankly, because of how social media exists now, he can't pull up the way that he used to pull up because I get to pull up on him if he keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's what I mean. It's like, no, it's not a disrespect thing. It's not a not liking fam type of thing. It's not even a not looking up to him type of thing. He's been very, very instrumental, I think, in you and I wanting to be hip hop journalists.
Definitely.
Correct?
Yeah. His time at the Source,
Right.
XXL.
That don't mean that nigga don't be wrong.
Yeah.
I be wrong, Mike. You be
It
wrong.
happens.
Mike, you be wrong.
Sometimes.
Eminem.
I'm not wrong about that. Now that I'm not wrong about.
Kanye.
Thumbs up in the chat.
Kanye.
What about Kanye?
What do you mean, what about Kanye, Mike?
I just try to be objective. Thumbs up in the chat. I know we got a bunch of people in here right now.
Kanye don't try to be objective, Mike. That's part of the fucking problem.
You know what? I respect Kanye as a creative, and I think that I understand a lot of the things that he tries to push forward, even when he's wrong.
I just understand.
Off.
See, when Kanye be talking, to be like, see, this is why mental health issues be real. And I understand. That's the part of Kanye
Man,
I understand.
When he made Daytona or produced Daytona from beginning to end with all the stuff he had going on at the time, I was like, yo, that's impressive. Very impressive.
No, that's channeling the mental health issues directly into something. Trust me, I know.
Thumbs up in the chat.
According to hip hop.
Thumbs up in the chat. Hit like and subscribe. Leroy Green with the Rock Nation hat on with the super chat says, Mike, Jay ran up $500 million by the time he became president at Def Jam. And that was built on music. There will never be a rapper ever again to do that, respectfully. And what does that even mean?
First of all, you're talking about money. And second of all, I believe that he had other brands like Armadale Vodka, Rockaware.
Yeah.
So saying that he built that on rap alone, it's like, no. I mean, how about this? Reasonable Doubt came out in 96. I went to college in Greensboro in 99. There were Rockaware shirts floating around Greensboro in the spring of 99. And you talking about
Rockaware in 99.
And you talking about he made his rep on music? It's like, no. That nigga dropped in June of 96. And by March of 99 had a whole clothing company. I think by the following year had a fucking vodka company. So it's like, no, he didn't build it on music. He's actually the reason that the branding for the rapper exists and the music is suffering. And I'm not saying that to knock him either. It's just like, well, here's the reality of the matter. You guys aren't the star that Jay is. You're definitely not the fucking MC. You're not the businessman. And so that's where Jay changed the game, really, is that all this branding that you see going on, Jay is the cause of that. It's just like none of these niggas is Jay, like on the mic, on the brand, or in business. And so when they shit start like not sounding as good, or when the ticket sales ain't what they need to be, or even when the business is like, think about this, Jay opening up 40-40 clubs. Look at the other shit that other niggas be opening. It don't be like 40-40 clubbish. That's for damn sure.
Let me get to these super chats before they go away. I think I might be losing some people. Charles Manning with the super chat says, I think that Nas will be done after this year. Hip hop is 50. He will be 50. He will fall back. We got to celebrate him for this and cherish this run that he's given us. It will never be done again. We're going to address that too. DB with the super chat says, numbers mean he's got a lot of BF Club, Breakfast Club. I'm sorry, numbers mean he's got to do Breakfast Club, Angie, Hot 97, NPR, Tiny Desk, Fresh Air, Big Boy, LA Leakers. People support people they like. And there's a generation who don't know Nas as a person.
Stop. This is what I mean about the media controlling the narrative. Mike, you want to wait for this? He's already done a Tiny Desk concert. Why the fuck hasn't it aired?
Good question.
I'm going to say it again. He's already done a Tiny Desk concert. Why the fuck hasn't it aired? Next.
CJ Kid with the super chat says, I love you OGs. Love the show. You guys are hilarious. But trying to out-rap Nasir, Abdul, Escobar, Dara Jones, all-time GOAT, isn't exactly an easy request.
He's 50, Mike. He's literally, by the time by the time Stillmatic was done, Mike, he had probably written more rhymes than like most of the guys who are like current today now.
Mm-hmm.
That was 22 years ago. I know exactly what I'm saying. He has. How about this? This is no disrespect to even Tom. Even when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, Mike, he wasn't the best player in football.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has been the best player in football.
Even though Tom beat him. Was he a better player than him in that game?
Beat that ass that game. For a game, Tom can be better.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of the matter is the last 5 years, either Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes has been the best player in football by my eye test. Not Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the fucking man? Tom Brady.
Of course.
But he ain't been the best, Mike. He's just been the fucking man when he needed to be. This dude's been the best. Don't tell me that shit is okay.
Yeah, you're right.
These niggas not competing.
DFW Herbie with the super chat says, just producer talk. Just Blaze clears Kanye. When you think about it, it's facts. Based on what? Because, and I want to say this to denigrate Just. You and I did a Just Blaze in, I think it was Havoc? Yeah, Patreon. And you beat me.
Handily.
This is the thing. When you start digging into Just Blaze's catalog, it's a small window. It's a 2001 to 2004, 5-ish window. Whereas you have somebody like Kanye West who was able to change with the times, who's also proven that he can make an album from end to end, something that Just Blaze hasn't proven either. And we also know now that Kanye was the blueprint of the blueprint, and Just Blaze just went in and
Kanye and Bink.
I'm sorry. CJ Kid with the super chat says, I guess I already got that one. Chris Daughtery with the super chat says, Coop, this run shows why he's called the chosen one. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the run. I mean, because
which run? This one?
Because I said Nasir came out in 2018. That could actually be a part of a run too, if we want to be honest.
This is epic run number 3.
Yeah.
This is run number 3.
This is a special run though.
That's where the Tom Brady shit lines up too. It's like, no, Tom Brady had that first run, that second run, and that third run.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 runs.
Godfather with the super chat says, so if this was Jay, what would they say about Nas? If this was Jay, what would they say about Nas? We know the answer to that. Come on. They're still talking about 444 and that shit's mid. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Listen here.
It's crazy.
They would literally be trying to erect a marble statue of him somewhere in Brooklyn, like Michelangelo's David or some shit if he was doing this.
Well,
they'd be like, we need to get some rare marble and we need to pull it in Brooklyn and we need to put it in Marcy and we're going to chip it out and it's going to be Hove. He's clearly the best MC that's ever lived. There's nobody even close above it. Like
they'll have all the lyrics on the Brooklyn Library.
I don't think you understand. No, I don't think you understand. His lyrics would be like on the Brooklyn Bridge. They would like repave the Brooklyn Bridge, and it would be like Hove lyrics, like in gold. Like these niggas,
Times Square,
like
everything.
It would be wild. Mike, it would be wild if he was on this run. Like
they'd be talking about it on ESPN and everything.
Like there would be people like if we were the type of podcast to be like, yo, he's still not the greatest MC of all time. There would be people that would be stepping up and offering so much money to buy us out so we shut the fuck up if he was on this run. I'm serious. I'm not joking at all. Cause he do that too.
Mad Max with the super chat says, so they albums are not like that because you don't like them.
No, them albums is not like that because them albums is not like that. That's what I keep trying to tell people over and over again. Why ain't people listening,
He says,
man?
like your toxic 90s hater. You're a toxic 90s hater, Coop. I realized that when you laced your head to say politics as usual is better than all falls down.
Man, I know that
Ye is not with Hove. Nothing without Hove.
This is what I'm saying. So let's go to 1996, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think Muddy Waters ranks in 1996 as far as an album?
Off the top of my head, and this is my favorite Redman album, by the way, and I think Muddy Waters.
It's everybody's favorite Redman album, and it's his best album, Mike. Where does it rank in 1996?
I mean, you got the score.
ATLiens. Reasonable Doubt. It Was Written. Philadelphia Half-Life. The Coming by Busta Rhymes.
I would put Muddy Waters ahead of The Coming and Philadelphia Half-Life, but All Eyes on Me is still out there. So
is it a top?
It's a top 10 album.
Is it? So it's not a top 5 rap album in 1996.
And it's Redman's best album, and Redman is a top flight MC.
Where's Muddy Waters and Cole and Kendrick catalog, Mike?
That's an interesting question. I think it's better than anything Cole's ever made.
Correct.
As an album.
Correct. That I agree.
I would probably say around third on Kendrick's catalog.
I would tell you second.
I'm not mad at that.
Because ain't nobody playing To Pimp a Butterfly, Mike.
I love To Pimp a Butterfly. I'm biased to that, I guess.
Right. No. Everybody, Mike, loving something and playing something.
No, it's real.
It's like, oh, I love what To Pimp a Butterfly represents. It's like, did you play?
I would rather listen to Muddy Waters. But from a technical aspect, if we're sitting here breaking it down and having to actually speak to an album, it would be tough for me to say that Muddy Waters is better than To Pimp a Butterfly.
So an album that's
being objective.
But listen, what I'm saying is, if an album that's not even a top 5 album in 1996 is competing with J. Cole and Kendrick's best works, that's my fucking point.
I got you.
Like, end of story.
You and Mad Max need to get on a Twitter space and have a debate. I would love to see that. DeCarlo with the super chat says, I love how whenever Jay puts out a verse or does something like a Book of Hove, Nas just puts out another album. That beef is still going strong. So much for one hot album every 10-year average. Right. Nigga, I can divide.
5 albums in 35 months, Mike. I can divide.
Leroy Green is back. Leroy Green with the super chat says, if this was Jay, where's the evidence that people would be hating on Nas? What post did you see any Jay fan discrediting Nas's whole existence like Nas fans do literally every day?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about.
We didn't say that. We didn't say that, Leroy. What we said, Leroy, was that if this was Jay in this position, it would be treated like this. We didn't say anybody would say Nas was anything.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. And what we need to stop doing right now, we need to stop talking about Jay. Because here's the reality of the matter is Jay's not active.
Yeah, he's not.
Jay's not this great. Jay's not in this conversation anymore. That's why I said we need to have a musical conversation, and we need to start removing Jay-Z from the Nas conversation. And I know that hurts everybody. It hurts all the Jay-Z fans. Mike, I told you after KD2 that this conversation was over.
Yeah. I think that's when I totally switched.
We got Magic in KD3, and now we're getting Magic 2, Mike. It's over.
It's not even a conversation.
So so the next narrative that actually needs to take shape is musically where Nas compares has the greatest all time in this genre, in other genres and other spectrum of entertainments and fields of the arts. It's not a fucking Jay-Z conversation
he's number
anymore.
One.
Stop that.
And the thing is, man, our podcast was built on new music, right? And I think I was telling you offline, the reason why we're getting this energy now is because the energy of new music is just different. It's cool when we'll go out there and talk about 96 or, talk about hip-hop history, and a lot of people learn things. But nothing matches the energy of new music. And I want to thank Hit Boy and Nas for continuously giving us dope new music to talk about. And the fact that we are even talking about Jay when he hasn't done that since the existence of this show, I mean, it's not even a conversation anymore.
Well, here's the thing about it, too. And here's where we do really like, and shout out to Hit for, giving us our first real play.
Yeah.
And to Hit and Nas for doing this, because here's the reality of the matter. For what we do, we're only as good as the music is, Mike.
Exactly.
And the only reason that we've been talking about Nas and hit like this has nothing to do with Mike. And I think this is how people feel, and this is where we kind of need to tear this down. Well, Mike, he been my greatest MC of all time since I heard him. And even at his lowest point, I told him, oh, no, that guy's still better than everybody else.
Right.
Like, as in, like, give me a game on some Tom Brady shit.
Right.
And he will beat you.
Facts.
But at this point, at this stage, no, this podcast growth has a lot to do, not with who he is as an MC,
but what
not
he's
who
doing
he
now.
not who he is as a producer, but what they have done collectively, quality music-wise. People started pulling up on this podcast about the integrity, about the music quality, about the review. Guess who's been doing the best music?
Those guys.
The people who've done the best music and who we talked about the most, Mike, the people we talked about the most during this podcast have been Nas, Griselda, Freddie Gibbs, J. Cole's appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been the best shit we've heard musically in the 3 years we've been doing this podcast. Jay-Z doesn't factor into that.
No, he doesn't.
That's not me trying to put Nas up on some perch.
That's just
That's
the facts.
the facts of what the quality of the music reflects. Listen to what I'm about to say. Jay ain't even made no Blue Benz. Blue Benz might be like 15 or 16 on a. If you were to rank the quality of songs he's made in the last 3 years, Blue Benz is not even top 10 anymore, Mike. It might not even be top 15.
I don't want to cut you off. I want to get to these super chats before they cut out. TJ with the super chat says, watch the clip of Dame discussing the difference between Jay and Nas. Found it very interesting and insightful. We're about to talk about that now.
We saw that too.
CJ Kid with the super chat says, F just hip hop. Where would you guys rank Nas as an all-time artist at this point? Might need to have a Nas versus Marvin Gaye through the rubric on an all-time artist. That's incredible. Ed with the super chat says, how Kendrick let Nas outwork him in 2023? For real. Anthony with the super chat says, in most cases, truth hurts. Nas is the best ever, hands down. Chris Daughtery with the super chat says, Coop, I mean, this late in his career, it shows dedication. And only the true greats can pull it off. He's showing you true Mount Rushmore status.
Hold on real quick, Mike. Right. People going in on me about my polo boots. So, like, I have to go to work today, but we work in the city. And so, like, it's like a gravel lot. You know what I'm saying? like it's a gravel lot.
Well, we need a sponsor.
No. It's right. It's raining in the city today. You don't understand. It's like when it rain in the city and you like parking on a gravel lot, it's like your car may not get out, but like you definitely need to get in and out. So it's like I actually had to put the boots on today because I had to go in and out of the lot to carry like all the stuff that I needed to bring for the job. So it's like, I was like, it's summertime. I was like, niggas, I was showing up to work. Niggas like, why is Coop wearing boots? It's like, have you seen outside? It's like I had to put my car in snow mode to get it out the lot.
Uncle Fran with the super chat, he says, Coop, I agree. If it was Jay, they would be doing everything you said in Brooklyn. But you know what? They would be talking about it. They'd be talking about the other guy. He said, you know what they would? It would be talking about the other guy. Dante with the super chat says, Nas is running this stage. Nas' run at this stage is amazing. He has always been my GOAT, but also this run for Hit Boy is next level. It's 93, 96 RZA-like. They're amazing together. Hit Boy's resume is elite. He's definitely top 7-ish. Definitely proving that. I can't wait till Friday. CJ Kid with the super chat says, slowly upgrading and adding to my debating repertoire by seeing and observing Coop's debating tactics. I see the setups now. I see you now, OG. Job with the super chat says, stop with the Nas and Jay comparison. Nas is another level and has always been. Nas is the greatest to ever touch the mic. Many rappers are better than Jay. Now that I wouldn't agree with, but I agree with the first part. Leah with the super chat says, Coop, the chat is going in on your footwear. Esquire with the super chat says, question, is Scarface necessarily a better movie than Godfather 2 based on the replay value? One is a slow burn, and the other is a consistent action.
That. Who said that, Paul?
Catch my drift?
No, I
Esquire.
don't. Esquire, first of all, I don't care. I don't care what this sucker say about my feet game. First of all, the boots cost more than most of the shoes that you motherfuckers wear. Anyway, Godfather 2 is the best movie ever. Scarface is not even a top 20 movie. Scarface is a great Al Pacino performance, and it's nice, like the ethos that it takes place in hip-hop culture. The Godfather 2 is the best movie ever. We literally have a prime Marlon Brando. I mean, not prime Marlon Brando. We have a prime Robert De Niro playing Marlon Brando's role from the first one, and we have Al Pacino in his best acting performance, and they're literally juxtaposing their times as the Dons in their respective times and eras. Oh, no, stop that. The writing is supreme. The acting is supreme, Mike. It might be the best acting cast ever put together.
I'm going to go watch The Godfather 2
That's
again.
absurd.
Yeah.
They literally are tracing Michael in his mid-30s running the family to Vito running the family in the mid-30s, and Robert De Niro's playing Vito, and Al Pacino's playing Michael.
You making me want to go watch The Godfather 2
is the
That's
best
gonna
movie
be tomorrow
ever.
night's
It's
viewing.
the best movie I've ever seen, Mike. And not because it's a gangster flick. It is literally the best writing. Because here's the thing about it. The Godfather 2 is about family.
Thumbs up in the chat, y'all. Hit like and subscribe. Be a part of the According to Hip Hop family.
It's about how Vito put a family together. And it's how Michael's trying to keep it together while it's falling apart at any cost. And he literally lost the game that his father tried to play, but he lasted longer than his father. It's the classic tale. You got to give up something to get something.
Jay Short with the super chat says, the real problem is Nas and the people around him are not self-promoters. Hip-hop does not reward humility selfishly. I wish that he would be more public. Kanye West again. Kanye West made people pay attention. Black Man with the super chat says, it's sad mainstream hip-hop media hasn't celebrated this historic run from Nas with as much enthusiasm as they did with the library exhibit. Yeah, man. You know, I saw a clip that I think Questlove posted it. It was him, Just Blaze, who else? Steve Stout was in there or whatever. They were in that baseline exhibit at the Book of Hove or whatnot. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, I never thought that Jay would be the guy that's doing the reminiscing. You know, he was always the guy that was so current. And that's why I've always had Jay ahead, you know what I mean? Because he was always on the
music
cusp
was fun.
of what was going on. Like, he was on to what was next, whether it was signing the next thing or, you know, dropping an album that had the next producer on it. And now he's gotten to the point where he's reminiscent, and Nas is the one that is dropping 5 quality albums in 3 years.
So listen, you're not wrong. So here's what we've revealed to each other. You know, we're kind of victims of the same thing. The same way that you feel kind of about Jay and what you're a victim of with Jay is what I'm a victim of with Andre. Is it's like, oh, they do all the shiny new nice things that we like, Mike. But here's the reality of the matter. Those shiny new nice things, as we start to age, it's like, no, the men with substance start holding more substance with us as we become more men of substance. That's why so much big boy and Nas rhetoric goes on, because we can go back and look to the actual man side of it. You know what I mean? And it's not to discount the women who, like, you know, are patrons of both. But as men, we can go listen to stuff and be like, man, like, fuck being current. Like, that shit right there is forever cool.
Exactly. And that's the part where Dr. Dre called Kendrick a forever artist that I disagreed with. Because I don't think the substance is forever substance.
I don't think he's ever been as wrong as he was when he said that. And I'm being very serious. Because he's rarely wrong. But that's just wrong. And it's just blatant, like, trying to take care of your artist who's like, he needs to prove that he's forever for this generation right now.
When you got to go out and do damage control, a lot of the times you are going to say wrong things.
When you have to do when you have to do PR for an artist who don't want to do his own PR.
Exactly.
Or when you have to sit up there and do the PR because the artist hasn't made any music to necessarily wash the taste out of some people's, like, mind's mouth. And meanwhile, and this is what I'm saying, and meanwhile, a 50-year-old is making 5 albums in 3 years every 7 months and out-rapping you in the process. And
outworking you.
And people want to tell me that I'm a hater for calling that album some mid. I'm calling it some mid because I'm watching what Nas is doing, relatively 20 years older than, 15 years older than him?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no excuse.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Coop, I can respect the quantity argument, but it's not just Jay dropping every year for most of his career. He's the height. It's the height that he took it to, and he held it for years. That's unparalleled, and he had the bars doing it. Okay, I mean, let's explore that. Because even when we look at the stretch, it's not as elongated as we once felt like it was. If you want to say that,
It's great marketing.
Yeah, if you want to say that he was dropping every year for most of his career, was it for most of his career or was it for that first stretch? And then when you want to say that the heights that he took it to with that, and I guess that goes along with the consistency. After that first run, look, 96, 97, those albums really weren't commercially viable, but they were, classic, dope hip-hop material.
Those albums are so important to his legacy.
They're very important to his legacy.
No, so like there is no run without those two albums because he doesn't have fans like me without that run.
I feel that. But where do you think the run, like when we're talking about the Book of Hope,
see,
when people became fans of his on a mainstream level, that starts in 98, correct?
Well, see, this is what I'm saying, and I get what you're saying, but that's also, so let me flip it back on you like this. When did Outkast run start if we're running the same rubric? Because that would be Stankonia, and that's just not fair now, is it?
It's different for Cast because Southern Playalistic is platinum. ATLians is like 2 times platinum.
Volume 1 went platinum.
Did it?
Yep.
Reasonable
Doubt, 700,000 went gold.
Very respectable. But
700,000 in 96 is a big deal.
And then Volume 2 goes like 6 million.
Correct.
So it's like, not saying that the run of being a crossover star starts there. Do you ever really feel like Outkast was, I guess they were crossover once Stankonia hit, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. When you're talking about run, for a lot of people, Outkast run starts with Stankonia, and I'm like, shit, that's the end for us.
Yeah.
That's when we're getting off the MARTA.
It is the end. I don't even feel like they recorded Stankonia together, in my opinion.
It's the real end.
Yeah.
I was listening to Elevators today.
Incredible record.
I was thinking to myself, it's like, man, Dre started off that record like that? It's like,
my mere thoughts of the super chat says, Coop mentioned that Magic proved that 96 Nas was still around. I would agree, but I would say lyricists appear, but with the same lyricists appear on Magic too. I mean, we heard KD3. I don't see why not.
I heard Magic.
Yeah.
KD2. Have you listened to Store Run?
But we heard KD3 as recent as, what was that, last August?
That was November 11th. It's November 11th. It's November 11th.
Yeah, so we're talking about like 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called the date.
Yeah.
It's November 11th.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Purple Rain or Songs in the Key of Life? Purple Rain for me.
That's not a fair conversation because Songs in the Key of Life is a double album, so it would be Songs in the Line versus Sign of the Times. Songs in the Key of Life versus Sign of the Times.
That's still Signs.
No, Sign of the Times is better.
Yeah.
Purple Rain's better than Intervisions to me too, but that's another conversation.
Reggie with the super chat says, guys, give us one album with the least amount of skippable tracks from each MC on your top 10 list. Next, rank those 10 albums. Gotcha, Coop. I think that's an interesting exercise. We're not going to do that right here, right now.
We have time to do that. I think we have time to do that.
But I think that's pretty dope.
That is a dope idea.
Esquire with the super chat says, To Pimp a Butterfly ain't the greatest album ever. Illmatic is. But To Pimp a Butterfly, Godfather 2, and Muddy Waters is Scarface in that analogy. Both classics, but there are levels. Let's see. I think we got some more super chats. Uncle Fram says, Mike, what I was trying to say is wherever in Twitter. He said, what I was trying to say is everywhere in Twitter, excuse me. Just try to celebrate Nas without mentioning Jay. Nas deserves that. Well, I mean, listen. It is what it is. It's going to come up. You guys are in the chat. People are going to mention Jay. Jay's actively doing a shrine of himself in a library. So, I mean.
Listen to what you just said. He's doing a shrine of himself.
Or his career. Is that not proper terminology? I mean, you got lyrics outside of the library.
No, it's definitely a shrine of himself. It's just like, that whole,
I want some new music.
Whole worshiping of false idols. Like, instead of, like, making a shrine of himself, which is, like, literally blasphemous, like, how about you rap?
I mean, he's one of the greatest MCs of all time. He should be able to do it.
But he's not the greatest.
Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat says, I think you guys looked this up in the previous show. Those Jay hits weren't as big as we remembered. Jay never had an EI, always on time or party up.
That's fair. No, Hard Knock Life is that. And Can I Get Her?
I feel like Can I Get Her is. I don't feel like.
I Just Want to Love You. Give it to me
is that.
Give it to me.
I don't hear Hard Knock Life like that.
No, not hear it like that, but was like that when it came out.
It was like that when it came out.
It was like that.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, imagine if RZA produced 5 great albums in 3 years right now. Imagine if 3000 dropped 5 albums in 3 years. Imagine if K-Dot dropped 5 albums in 3 years. Now, that's a good one. Yeah, if Kendrick would have done this run.
How many albums Kendrick got again, Mike?
I think he has 5.
Section 80?
No, look, are we counting Overly Dedicated?
No.
You're not counting Overly
Section
Dedicated?
80.
Why not? You want to start with Section 80?
It's a mixtape.
Section 80. Good Kid, Mad City.
I just want to make sure my
Butterfly.
Hold on, Mike. Let me put on my glasses and make sure I can see my fingers.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
And then you got Mr. Morale. Unless we want, I know Esquire probably wants us to count the unmastered and all that stuff.
5, 6.
Well, if we're counting the unmastered, the stuff that got cut, that would be 6. And Overly Dedicated would be 7. But if we're counting the main ones,
when did Overly Dedicated come out?
Overly Dedicated came out, I want to say 2010. But
No. Section 80 came out in 2010.
Okay, it was 9. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If we're going to do that.
What year are we in?
We're in 2023.
So it's 14
mm-hmm.
years?
But this is what I was going to say, Coop. If we're going to do that, then we should just throw in Nasir and Lost Tapes too then. If we're going to do that. So that's still 7-7.
And Life is Good, Mike.
Well, Life is Good was like 10 years ago, but it's in that
if
time
we're counting Kendrick stuff, how about this? Count up the Nas projects from when Kendrick stepped in the game.
That would be 8.
How many Kendrick got?
Actually, hold on. Did he drop it? Well, I didn't count Distant Relatives, so that would be 9.
So he's literally outpaced this guy since this guy's been around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a hater. I find it fascinating. The whole Irv Gotti riff was the part where I was like entertained. And he even clarified. He's like, no, I like Irv. I fuck with Irv. He's like, I'm just tired of Irv fucking talking about me.
Yeah.
And he blamed Super Ugly on Irv. He put it right on Irv. I was like, whoa.
Super Ugly was ill-advised. And
Super Ugly's not good. I keep telling people that. They be like, oh, you a Nas fan. It's like, no, that record ain't no good, man.
And if people want to know what we're talking about, Dame Dash just did a interview that came out earlier today, actually. Somebody sent it to us on our Twitter. Shout out to y'all. And basically they asked Dame what he felt about Ether or something like that. And I was like, I didn't think that he was actually going to give that answer some legitimacy.
Why wouldn't he?
But he was like, look, yeah, Nas won that. And I love what he had to say about Nas's business acumen. Because a lot of people look at, Jay as the business guy. And he was like, you know what, that's part of Jay's brand. He's like, when I look at the portfolios, looks like Nas is doing some pretty great business as well.
I thought it was very key that he said, he's like, well, the rest of us aren't married to Beyonce.
Well, that puts you in the spotlight automatically.
He was like, so Jay has to play a different level of media game that other moguls with comparable business acumen don't have to play, is what Damon's saying. You hear what Damon's saying? He's like, I'm tired of going out and dressing up and going to this, that, and the other. Right, I feel him. Look how we showed up to the show. Like, while people are clowning my boots, it's like, well, you have to understand. It's like, oh, no. Yeah. This was a work day. I had to take my daughter to get her permit. Had to sit up there and go down to Atlanta, which is always like, hazardous territory.
Traffic's ridiculous.
And the traffic's ridiculous. It's like, no, this was a boots kind of day because it was raining on both sides of town.
Right.
And so it's like, no, I ain't trying to be cool and shit. I want to make my fucking money. I want to go home, be around my family, be around the people who love me. And so what Dame is really speaking to, once again, is more relatable as a man. And he's letting you know how unrelatable Jay's life is and how the reason that you see the things that you see is because his life has to be that way. He literally says, most of us with money, white or black, you don't really hear us or see us
people
talking about
life.
it. Real money is quiet. Even when you look at Jay, it's like, it ain't like Jay be showing up to the Beyonce show like iced out and he's Jay.
Yeah.
He's married to B. Know what your money look like.
Yeah.
These other dudes don't advertise because people with real money really don't advertise.
I mean, they're living real life. Don't nobody want to really go out like that. You know what I mean? Like not every single day.
Hey,
I mean, special occasions, of course.
I'm going to tell you something the plug told me. It's like, she was like, if it ain't X amount of dollars, it don't even get Nas out of bed.
Yeah.
And when she told me the number, I was like, so if you're lucky in your life and you're part of the 1%, you'll make that in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And it takes that to get him out of bed.
Well, he earned it, man.
That ain't the type of shit you advertise.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Jay Short with the super chat says, It's not just 5 albums in 3 years. It's 2 series with 2 different wavelengths. We will be comparing Magic versus KD series in the future. Beyond and Above Media says, in my opinion, the only flaw in Nas's style is that keeps him out of the very top #1 spot is that he doesn't have many songs that we will send people running to the dance floor. Face is kind of in the same position. I mean, you could say that. Michael Williams with the super chat, even though there is a major look out there, but I guess it depends on what kind of dancing you want to do. Michael Williams with the super chat.
I want to do the WAP.
Says, one thing Nas is missing from the KD run is a collabo with a female artist. He got a song with Lauryn Hill, right? He says, I'd love to see Nas work with someone like her, SZA, or Georgia Smith.
I love her, but he just worked with Lauryn.
He got Lauryn to rap.
Mike, can we say this again? Like, I don't think people understand. So here's what. So quick, just let's talk about the run and the greatness of the run. It's been the selection of the artist that's been so special too.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at who we got. Not to be funny, how many people can go get a verse from Eminem that don't work for Interscope?
Yeah, not a lot.
How many people can get 50?
50.
Mike, the biggest trump card of them all is you got Lauryn Hill on a record and you got Lauryn Hill to rap on a record. Mike, when the last time you heard Lauryn Hill rap on a record?
Damn, I can't even remember, bro.
That's
it
what
wasn't
I'm saying.
Hers.
No,
even if I went with hers, it was still unplugged. I believe.
Right. When's the last time she rapped on a record that got put out for mass consumption? People do not understand how big these moments have been. Whenever you ever heard somebody in their late 40s get with an artist like a Fabio and an ASAP Ferg, a Big Sean, a Dirk, a Charlie Wilson,
YG,
a YG. The YG is a Compton thing. That's hit too. You know what I'm saying?
I loved it, but it sounded great together.
It sounded great.
It sounded natural.
It sounded great.
Yeah.
Like, these moments have been great. The 50 moment is the moment I'm most excited for because here's why. Like, I knew what I was going to get out of him and Lauryn. I just wasn't expecting her to rap.
I wasn't expecting her to rap, so I can't say I knew what I was
No.
get.
I mean the vibe of the record.
I got you.
When the record came on, I'm like, yep, that's the record that they
Hit Boy impressed me the most on that one because he adjusted to, like you said, what we were listening to.
I told you, KD 2 is his ascension. It's like, how about this? He's a good producer on KD 1 and on Burden of Proof for Benny. He's good. He's great on KD 2. He's exceptional on Magic.
Oh, yeah. Magic is,
He's exceptional on Magic. He channeled Pete Rock, DJ Premier, LES, Large Professor, and Q-Tip. Like, literally, he took components from all of their styles and made it work on one album. And then he did KD3, which is kind of like him and Nas's manifesto. It's like, no. Me and this dude can just get together and make our own sound, our own style, our own thing, and make it great. No guest appearances, nothing but some Primo samples. And Primo didn't do the legit sample. That was straight hit.
Well, that's good to know. Esquire with the super chat says, Mike, why are you playing me like a Kendrick stan? He's never been close to being my favorite rapper. Nas has been my GOAT for decades. I prefer Cole to Dot. Now, I don't believe that, Esquire, based on some of your, banter. Do you get that from Esquire, that he got Cole over Kendrick?
Outside of Esquire, it's 601, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Mississippi, I believe. Outside of Esquire being from Mississippi, I don't think that. 601 is Mississippi area code, if memory serves. So, like, outside of Esquire being from the South, I don't see why you got Cole over Kendrick. Might be biased. It's okay to be biased, Mike. Mike, when
so hold on, you're saying that Kendrick's still ahead of Cole?
As far as what?
Overall. Because this becomes an album versus activity.
All time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's still ahead all time. Like,
wow,
for
the albums?
I mean, Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly are better than Forest Hills Drive.
I think Damn is too.
And Damn might be.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I listen to Cole on Forest Hills Drive, I'm like, yeah, that's going to hold up longer than Damn. And I think
it could hold up.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is, like, right now. That's why I'm like, it's like, no, Damn sounds better. Damn sounds better in the moment, like in the
I'm
vacuum.
basing it on when I first heard Damn. I need to go back and listen to those albums back to
You
back.
do, like, because
Yeah.
how about this? It's like those songs that stayed with you. Let me ask you this. How did they stay with you? Because I can remember I went through a thing where it's like I had to listen to Element and Feel in Love.
I love all three of those records.
Those are probably my 3 best records on there. But listen what else I'm telling you. I'm so far removed from that moment of listening to those records on a regular basis that it frightens me. And all of his albums are that way with me personally, except for Good Kid, Mad City. And that's why it is, I think, his best album, because it's like, no, I'm still playing Backseat Freestyle and Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. And when something ran in Money Trees and
Money
Real.
Trees is
Like those 4 records I'm playing specifically. And when the other stuff comes on, like the Good Kid, Mad City with MC8 or Shireen's Daughter.
Love that record.
Like when that other stuff comes on, it's like, no, I'm right there and I can't let it go. It's his only album like that, in my opinion.
I think at the end of the day, if I had to put one Kendrick song as his #1 record, and obviously Bitch Don't Kill My Vibes up there, but I think Money Trees is the one.
Money Trees is the best sounding record.
Mm-hmm.
I think who Kendrick is as an artist, I think Real is the record.
It's about damn time, but the super chat says y'all audio is very low. Let's see if how's our audio? Leroy Green with the super chat says, you mean to tell me you didn't know that Jay and Dame been enemies for over 15 years now? Come on, fellas.
I need, how many super chats we got? I need to take this right quick.
Oh, go ahead. We got a few. MCs with the super chat says, Jay fans always talk about money. We talking about music. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, attaching the library expo to my comment confirmed that y'all are incapable to create the undisputed separation for Nas. I'm going Friday to the expo. Let us know how it is. I want to go out there and check it out too. Let's see. We got a couple of more super chats. And Karan, Lil Jon with the super chat, $20 super chat showing love. He says, love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Salute, guys. Nas is coming. Nas is coming, definitely. 007 with the super chat says Nas featuring 50 is called Office Hours, according to Genius. Is there a track list out there, guys? Because I know while we're doing the show, before the show launched or before we went live, I was checking to see if there was actually a track list out there, and it wasn't. AB Studios with the super chat says, when Nas and Hit Boy brought back The Firm, even had Foxy and Dre on the same track. Surprised not many people talk about that. It's on King's Disease. Yep, that was on KD1. Let's see, but yeah. What do you guys actually think? The audio's good? Okay, I want to make sure the audio's good. We got a couple more super chats coming in as well. Yes, 50 said it himself in the interview. Like and subscribe to the page. They're sending me all kind of signals in the back. Shout out to the production team and everything. But yes, I think 50 said that in the interview a while back with the when he was talking about his collabo with Nas. Now 50 thought that he was actually going to be on KD4, but he's on Magic. And Magic 2, that is.
The recording process be crazy though, Mike.
Yeah. You're recording
No.
songs
I'm telling you, the recording process.
Oh, you're talking about theirs.
Like, that's what I'm saying is, like, one thing that I've noticed that hasn't been said to me through my conversations is that the recording process is constant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's been doing this so long, I think he has it parsed out to a science. You know what I mean?
Who was that, Nas or 50? No, I mean the way you said it. You said he. You know what I'm saying?
Nas has it parsed out. Nas has it parsed out to a science, almost to the point where it's like
50 has his own process too. But
50.
Yeah.
It's not the same process.
I know what you're talking about.
He has it parsed out almost in his mind. It's like, this is what I mean. As a writer, those are King's Disease records.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Magic records. Those are unreleased records. Those are potential. You know what I'm saying? Like, and fleshed out and sectioned out that way. And so what I'm saying is Magic probably happened with plans of recording KD4. You feel what I'm saying? Like Magic 2 happened. Like that. I think Magic was intentional. I think this one kind of just happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's more Magic. Like, listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the zone that he's in. Remember when he did the one interview he did where he's talking about the zone? It's something funny. You niggas is over here having a ball.
What is going on in the back?
Over here having a ball.
It's distracting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm wild. Oh, the super chats, are they still what the fuck are they? Oh, on me. Fuck them.
Let's keep the show rolling.
No, these niggas funny. But look, what I'm saying is that he probably might have organically been creating something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start operating on a level and hitting at a clip, like lyrically, like remember we talking about, he's like, well, I'm in one of the best zones I've been in. I'm in a zone.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, what might have been happening was magic too.
Right.
As in, it's like, oh, well, this is just me on my rap shit. It's not album mode necessarily. And that's what I mean is it's like, well, the expectations for Magic too, I don't know if they necessarily need to be like album mode, King's Disease mode. That's why it's Magic 2. It's
so
like,
you're thinking that there's possibly some leftover material here.
Leftover material is not the right word, but more just straight up hip hop material.
Okay.
I think what he's created with the Magic series is kind of like a reinvention of the Lost Tapes in a sense.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to say, with all of this recording and with, 5 albums coming in such a duration, is there a possibility that we could get a Lost Tapes 3 out of these sessions? I mean, because I feel like that would just chronologically be the, most logical move next. Because we got 5 albums, and I'm sure that they recorded way more stuff that just didn't make it. You know what I'm saying?
Stuff.
Like, that's just part of the process. And we know Nas is known to have, a Lost Tapes catalog as well. So I could see a Lost Tapes 3 possibly.
I hadn't thought about a Lost Tapes 3, to be honest with you.
He hadn't given us time to think about it.
I mean, it's plausible, Mike. What you're saying is plausible, but what I'm saying is I think that Magic 2 happened because of the zone that happened.
Yeah.
Where it's like how about this? I wouldn't be surprised if we got another project before the year was over. Because this is July 21st, right?
Yep.
So we're just a little more than halfway through the year. July 21st is my youngest brother's birthday, by the way. He turns 32 on the 21st. Shout out to my brother.
Shout out.
Yeah, good birthday present.
I mean, this is a great birthday present for hip hop. Period. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
see,
hip hop 50.
See, this is what I mean is that, well, he turns 50 about a month after hip hop does.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if like there was a KD4 around the corner. When you said the Lost Tapes 3 thing, I thought about it. I was like, nah, that's next year.
Yeah. No.
But I wouldn't be surprised if around November or December we got a KD4 again. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
Damn. I mean, the lead is continuously pushed. Now, do you think 50 is the only feature on this album? I know we've given our guesstimations about how many tracks. You're thinking 12 tracks. You think 50 is the only feature?
No, I'm going to go on a limb and say that there's another feature. We just don't know who it is yet. He tends to hit us with something that we don't expect. Like, were you expecting EPMD and Eminem to pop up on a record with Nas?
No, definitely not.
Were you expecting Lauryn Hill to pop up and spit some bars?
Nope.
Were you expecting YG?
I definitely wasn't.
Were you expecting Fabio and ASAP?
Nah.
Big Sean?
None of them.
He literally, so all the stuff that we're expecting.
We get the unexpected.
ASAP? Did you think him and ASAP?
No, and I really love that.
And I loved it.
I think ASAP is probably one of the more underappreciated artists in his generation. I think that his fame kind of exceeds what people look at him as an artist. I mean, now he has his core base that knows how dope ASAP is, but ASAP's effortless on the mic. And I thought that collaboration was dope. 007 with the Super Chat says, it's going to be called Lost Tapes 3, the Hit Boy Sessions. I like it. Esquire with the Super Chat says, Dot is objectively higher than Cole, but I prefer Cole stylistically. I've been to 8 shows and have followed since the warm-up because he reminds me of Nas. Cole actually put me on the Dot when he produced High Power. Oh, you go back. Now, I want to ask Esquire this. Who do you think's the better performer between Cole and Kendrick? Because I know Kendrick has a lot of the theatrics. He has the breath control and all that. But everybody I know that went to go see Cole perform,
Cole's great.
They say Cole's incredible on stage.
Yeah. Probably, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
People who weren't even really fans of him like that talk about, what his performance game is like.
Yeah, his performance game is tough.
Jermaine Johnson with the Super Chat says, this is not a Blood versus Crips, but we can love Hove and Nas. I took my wife and daughter to the Book of Hove, and they loved it. I also took my wife to the floor seats of the Nas at Madison Square Garden because we love hip-hop. I love hip-hop.
Well, there are number 1 and 2 MCs.
Yeah, they're number 1 and 2.
There's just a separation. How about this? Somebody told me that and this is before LeBron, actually. It's not that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. It's that there's a gap between number one and number two. And what we have officially in rap for the first time, really, as rap. Here's probably what Magic 2 is going to be. If it is what I think that it is, well, it's the true the undeniable separation moment. It's the seventh ring. Yeah. It's that, well, in year number.
Like Magic and KD3 with that.
We feel that way.
Yeah.
There are some people apparently that need more evidence out here, Mike.
Yeah.
Like somebody who called Jay the GOAT literally the day before he said Nas and Hit Boy were the best duo. You see how he tried to put Nas in a duo with the other guys, the GOAT?
Yeah.
It's almost like that low key, like, oh, well, you kind of need Hit. This is kind of a Gangstar thing. So whatever with that. But in year number 50, this is our number one artist creating like that separation of where Mike was, I guess, before LeBron popped up, where it's like, no, the gap between 1 and 2 is wide.
Well, this is my perspective, right? And I never want to take away from Nas's moment because obviously what he's doing is unprecedented. But I feel like if we don't say these things specifically, the mainstream will come with their narrative and act like this never happened. So we almost kind of have to, talk about the J in reference to it while it's happening. Because if we don't, then they'll act like this never happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's and I've always, as a Jay fan myself, I've always heralded Jay's consistency and his ability to be great later. We're talking about being great later back in 2003. Never been a nigga this good for this long. And so in 2023, when this guy's doing this, I would be remiss not to mention Jay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to mention the fact that, no, when we're talking about somebody who's been good for so long, we got to change that from what we always thought was Jay. This is Nas being great late and great early and being consistent throughout. Because when we talk about consistency in hip-hop, the first person that people think of is Jay.
But that kind of goes to the Dame interview. You're kind of conditioned to think that because, well, he's who's put in your face for business.
Exactly.
And what is this? This is the music what?
Business.
Business. And so when a person is literally making it their business your marriage is your marriage, but that's still a lot of business. You have always preached and practiced yourself as what? I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man.
Let me handle my business.
Damn. So business is your launching pad. It's your motif. It is what defines you. He should be happy that he's always been in this conversation. None of the other guys that are in the top MC conversation are considered on any sort of level, even Nas at this point, to be equal businessmen as they are MCs. Nobody talks about Tupac the businessman or Rakim the businessman, Scarface the businessman, Ghostface and Raekwon, Biggie the businessman. Nobody talks about these guys as businessmen. And so he's been fortunate in that sense, and that's some of the influence and the inflation of it. And I'm not saying it's an inflation that's unwarranted per se in relationship to both, but in relationship to one person, it always has been. And that's just showing itself over time.
Right.
When I've been saying it's like, no, he was been the best rapper of all time since 1996. This is just the evidence, Mike. It's always, listen to what I'm saying. It's always been this way. He's always been better. There was never a point. The
first shall be last.
Right. There was never a point when Jay was better. That's what I keep trying to get people to understand. It's like, if it was written is lyrically what we all say that it is, when was Jay better?
Yeah, I would still give it to Nas in 96 as a lyricist.
Right.
Yeah.
If he's still the better, like, how about this? Who's the better hook writer in 96? How many hooks are on Reasonable Doubt that Jay spit?
I think he's the better hook writer, period.
Who's the better lyricist in 96?
Nas is.
Who's the better songwriter?
In 96? That could go either way, but I would have to give Nas the edge.
Storyteller.
We know what that is.
Voice.
I think that's Nas too.
Like so one guy is really charismatic and about his business though, but he rhymes at a comparable level. That don't make him better. That was always the trick.
But
that
I
I've been
still think
talking about.
Reasonable Doubt's better than it was written, in my opinion.
But so, and this is always the thing, and you can feel that way.
Yeah.
If his second best shit is comparable to your first best shit, that's my biggest claim that I can give you about why the other guy is better. Because if you got Reasonable Doubt it was written in Reasonable Doubt or comparable, it's like, well, there's that whole Illmatic thing, and this conversation's over because the other guy don't have anything close to that. That's in '96, Mike. It's always been this way.
You don't think Reasonable Doubt's close to Illmatic?
No. And that's because Reasonable Doubt's not a top 10 album.
LP with the super chat. Let me get to some of these. We got super chats in.
Do you think Reasonable Doubt's a top 10 album? Because that's what Illmatic is.
I don't think it is.
All right, then it's not close. Because to be close, you'd have to be like within striking distance, right? So if one album is considered, like you did a poll on According to Hip Hop where it was The Chronic and Illmatic that ended up in the final two. Where did Reasonable Doubt rank on that list?
I don't even remember. That was a while back. We got to do that again.
Oh, LP ain't gonna fare no better.
LP with the super chat says, how much y'all think it being under his label have to do with as far as the release? Owning it from the top to bottom gotta be like going platinum in '96. No, definitely. And I think that kind of affects the radio play, which affects the streams, obviously. But yeah, I think actually doing it on mass appeal and not really being a part of the big corporate structure.
Yeah, you're independent.
Yeah, that affects those things.
Yes,
007 with the super chat says, gotta feed the machine. Nas needs that Drake feature.
But that's what I'm saying. I think getting 50 feeds the machine.
We'll see.
That's what I'm saying.
Can't wait to hear that record. Makai with the super chat says, thoughts on Lupe/Nas collaboration on Magic 2? Wasn't there a pic of both of them a while back in the studio? Could be fire.
What is that going to do? Not being funny.
What is that? Great song.
That could be a great song, but what is it going to do?
It's going to be a lyrical exercise. Esquire with the super chat says, I've only been to one Kendrick show. He has a better set list, but Cole is better live. Caught him for the Dollar and a Dream tour, $1 concert in Raleigh, North Carolina in 2014, and he came to Mississippi for the Foyeo tour too. Jay Short with the super chat says, now Jay and Kendrick fans see how we felt back in 1999. We had to accept Nostradamus and take that L. Jay and Kendrick fans won't accept reality.
No, it's not about accepting reality. It's about what the reality is. You don't have to accept it as a fan. Like that's part of what being a fan is about. Nobody is asking you if we all got our people, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people on the West Coast that feel about hieroglyphics the way we feel about the Dungeon Family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There are people in New York that feel about. I wouldn't say Wu-Tang because I feel the same way about Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I think everybody feels about Wu-Tang.
But somebody like
MOP.
MOP and Mobb Deep come to mind. Yes, or even
CNN.
Yeah, more than we do. Like I love Capone and Noriega.
I love them too.
And I like them dudes up in the East Coast too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even with Pun, Mike. Pun's a good example.
Pun's a great example.
Like dudes up top love Pun more than the rest of us do. It's okay.
I remember when I went to New York for the first time and I saw the murals of Pun and stuff, and I was like, I thought Pun was dope. I always did. I was like, I didn't know it was like this.
But I didn't know it was like that.
I was in the Bronx, I didn't know it was like this.
No, it was like that.
Yeah.
And if you think about it,
Big L's one of those too.
Right. And if you think about it, it's like, well, outside of KRS, he's the best lyricist that came out of the Bronx. So then when you put it in that context, it's like, oh, okay. Well, it kind of makes sense.
We're not missing anybody out of the Bronx. I think you might be right.
Not better than Pun. Like KRS is the only lyricist from the Bronx better than Pun. That ain't even that ain't even a thought, Mike.
Correct us in the chat if we're wrong.
Ain't no correction.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, fellas, to be clear, you guys are pretty fair with your Jay and Nas comparison. My statement is in regard to the Jay fans versus Nas fans slandering each other. I need to get in those conversations. I hadn't even really seen all of that. It seems like it'd be going real heavy. The Jay and we should do like a Twitter space, let people air it out.
It just doesn't need to be that at this point. There's a separation.
The Jay fans what do they have to say at this point? If there is a real back and forth like that.
But that's what I mean. It's just like when we're saying, even when we're having the rhetoric, it's a nostalgic conversation. It's not a current conversation. Like, think about what I keep looping back around to. It's like, well, only reason we're having this conversation is because one of them is making music, really.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to be fair. And Uncle Fram says talking about Jay on every Nas convo is a defect that comes from the plug itself. She does the same thing every time. This is what I'm going to say, though. If Jay was to drop some music, we'll mention Nas, too. See, this isn't one of those things where, like, you know, Dame Dash goes to the Breakfast Club and gets asked about Jay, and Jay goes to the Breakfast Club and doesn't get asked about Dame. If Jay comes with some music, we're going to talk about this run, too. So it's not going to be one of those.
I mean, the first thing that would be brought up,
things.
The first thing that would actually be brought up in a music review of his album is like, well, where does this rank in relationship to the projects now?
So it's not just a one-way thing.
No, it is
not with us.
See, here's the thing about it. It is a one-way thing. It's just not a one-way thing the way people A, want it to be, and B, thought it was going to go, Mike.
Yeah, thought it was going to be different.
And that's what the problem is. The only problem that we're having here is that for the masses, the person that they thought that was going to be doing this
right.
is not doing it.
It's a great point.
Like the guy.
Because if you ask everybody in 2013, who's going to be the rapper in 2020 to drop 5 albums in a 3-year period, Nas or Jay? All those people would say Jay.
Mike, you can go to 2003 and they say that. You can go to 2013 and 2003 and they would be like, well, who's going to be married with kids and not making music, quite frankly, and who's going to be making an album every 7 months? And everybody would.
I would have told you that Nas would have a book of Illmatic before Jay would have a book of Hov.
Mm-hmm.
I would see
or Escobar season has returned.
Yeah, like a whole shrine of the Illmatic stuff and the memorabilia. I would think that would have happened before what we just saw.
That's what I'm saying. Who's resting on their laurels and who's really
active
out here getting it?
Yeah, Beyond Above Media with the super chat says, I hope you guys one day cover Prodigy's last album. What was it? The Halogen
Dialect? We did.
I think we did. Yeah,
we did.
Is there some hidden stuff in there? It's just so different for him.
No, I think that was the thing, and where he was as an artist, he was understanding that he was like, I think he was finally in a place of not being attached to Mobb Deep anymore.
Right.
Thematically.
True soloists, you know, from the 2000s. Jay was only feeling the casual listener / radio head from 98 to 03. He is slightly more balanced. Album between the two. If we're talking about who's the better rapper, it's not a conversation.
That's what I mean when I'm saying, well, in 1998, 99, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but he made Nas's like In Favor for a Favor, in Small World.
Yeah.
The New York State of Mind. Not even like if somebody trying to have a conversation about that, we have a problem.
No, I think it is.
But just on
because what would you put up against Nas's like on Volume 2?
No. Let's just nothing. Reservoir Dogs is the first thing to come to mind. Reservoir Dogs are a week ago. Reservoir Dogs.
A week ago was the first one that came to mind, and it's not better.
It's not.
It's not.
And I love A Week Ago.
I love A Week Ago.
I think that's the best song on Volume 2.
It's actually my personal favorite.
Me too. Yeah. That's my personal favorite on Volume 2.
That's the one I go back to. I love that.
That's Jay in storytelling mode.
Yeah, conversational
Jay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best. No, but Mike, listen to this. Take Reasonable Doubt.
Mm-hmm.
In Volume 1 off the table. Take 96, 97. Okay?
Right.
Show me the Mike performance he has comparable to Nas. It's like, I'll wait.
You're talking about from 98 to 03.
Mike. Nas is like. After 96 and 97, Mike performance. 3 verses. Think about the 3 verses on Nas is like, and go show me the Jay performance that's comparable without including anything from
I'm going to go Black Album probably.
So what year are you going?
That would be 03, and I would
song are you
probably go somewhere like either Allure. Oh man, somebody just threw off my.
From a jail, clips inserted.
A
A
baby
baby
being-
being born the same time a man is murdered, the beginning and end.
Well, we got
As
a.
far as rap go, it's only
Hold on, hold on,
natural.
hold on.
I explain my plateau and also what defines my name. Nuh-uh,
Yeah.
Mike, Allure's not fucking with that. I'm sorry.
We got the poll up, but I lost the super chats. Andrew Williams of the super chat says,
That's what the
I don't
production
support-
team is supposed to be for.
Andrew Williams of the super chat says, I don't support nothing called the Book of Hov. LOL. Jay is not God. I don't support blasphemy. There's only one God. I don't even call Jay Hov. I call him Jay. You know what? It's funny you say that. I call him Jay as well. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Mike is a different energy from Jay's fans towards Nas. I was trying to show that Coop, show that to Coop when I invited him to the J Space on Twitter. I want to check those out, man, because I want to see what's going on. Game with the super chat. Shout out to the game.
I didn't know I got
Says,
invited to it.
They're doppelgangers. The Jay versus Nas combo is forever going. Your audio is in and out. All right. Okay, cool. I think I got Jay Short here now. I got the chat back. Jay Short says, talking about Coop, my boy is a Jay fan who's trolling me for years in the 2000s. It just went away. Damn. We got a lot going on. DeCarlo with the super chat says, cannabis is from the Bronx. I think that Big Pun might supersede cannabis, in my opinion.
What Cannabis best album again?
I think the first one. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Rock Nation, cut off your mics for a few seconds. Yep, they be doing that. Shout out to Rock Nation. Let's see. We got Michael Williams with the super chat. Do you think Magic 2 being released in the summer means sonically it will be brighter than the first one? Magic 1 dropped right after Christmas. Black and white album cover. The sound was dark and gritty. What do you expect from the sound? Because I know we kind of covered that earlier, but do you expect more of a brighter sound with the season it's coming out in?
Hit's been on a little wave.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have to throw a switch up because it's Nas. It's appearing like it's a Nas and Hit venture again, which is great for Hit.
Of course.
Because for everything that we keep saying about, well, how many rappers have done this? Well, guess what, Mike? On the other side, how many producers have done this?
Yeah. Facts.
Why does this top 10 talk sound so crazy to people? Show me the other guy, because the only guy that you have for me that's made this many quality projects, because I think, Mike, it's pretty safe to say this project's probably going to be quality.
Oh, yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like, how about this?
These guys know what they're doing. They're great.
Mike, when the floor is KD1, it's like I'm pretty certain they're past KD1 status, so we know it's going to be better than KD1.
I don't want to go in here with any expectations.
I got expectations.
Level.
Fuck all
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I expect it to be better than KD1.
I expect it to be great.
All right, this is the thing. I expect it to be.
I expect it to be great.
You expect it to be better than Killer Mike's Michael album.
I expect it to be great.
Okay. You expect it to be album of the year then?
Yes. When's the last? Because think about it. Well, really, the last time we didn't get a great product was the first one. And that album's holding up pretty damn well. It sounds really damn good.
I actually like KD1
I like KD1. 27 Summer, Spices.
So, 2020 album of the year for us was West Side, right? Pray for Paris. 2021.
You could say Alfredo too.
I'm still giving it to Pray for Paris.
Me too, but I love Alfredo.
So our album of the year for 2021 was Magic. And then for 2022 was KD3. And for 2023, it's looking like it could be this one. So how could we not anticipate this possibly be album of the year?
And
you know what I mean?
And in 2020, I believe we had KD1 at number 4 on our list after
something like that.
It was Pray for Paris, From a King to a God, Alfredo, and then King's Disease 1.
Yeah.
So in 2020, he made a top 5 rap album for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And the subsequent years, he made album of the year.
Well, 2021, he had number 1 and 2. And this is not us just sitting here. I know it looks like, okay, these guys are a Nas channel, yada, yada. I mean, what albums do you put up against it? The quality and the activity is just unprecedented. Indy U Jams with the super chat says, did y'all see Kendrick doing push-ups and pull-ups? Maybe he's getting into album mode. Buzz and noise with the audio. Man, what's going on with the audio? Everybody's audio good? 007 with the super chat says, look at the poll. Told y'all. GOAT on It Was Written, Mike. Gary Pierce with the super chat says, Mike's are low, Kings. Stefan Young with the super chat says, what up, Coop and Mike? What up, Stefan? And then we got Melvin Wright with the super chat says, Hit commented on the first IG post, dark mode. So I think that's the theme.
That's what I mean. How about this? I think you're like, what do you think of Magic stylistically? Do you find it to be okay? Let's contextualize.
Yeah.
Let's look at the post.
Right.
Houdini is what in the?
He is in a straitjacket trying to escape. He's a magician.
Hanging upside down in chains.
Right.
In a straitjacket, chained up. Now, is that something that's lighthearted and easy digestible?
No.
Or is that something that's heavy?
No, that's heavy.
And a little bit more complex.
This is what I'm expecting.
This is what I mean. So if we start just paying attention to the images,
right?
You know what I'm saying? It actually is probably going to be something that might be a little bit more darker and denser in street than Magic. Magic is a very dark and dense street album. Like Ugly might be my favorite record.
Is it?
Yeah, I love Ugly.
Okay.
I love Ugly.
I like Joe Black.
Ugly for me is like Do Rags too. I love Ugly, but when you feel them, like Speechless, you know what I'm saying? Speechless isn't a happy record. Meet Joe Black is a confrontational record. Ugly is a dark and dense record. Hollywood Gangster is a revealing record. Woo for the Children is a somber record. Wave Gods is really the only one. The Truth is a manifesto.
Actually, The Truth is my favorite song on the album.
The Truth is the best rapping on the album to me. Ugly's my favorite record. That's just personally. You know, even the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's dark. That's dense. I think they're up in the ante on the dark and the dense.
I think so too.
Houdini hanging upside down, straitjacket chains on.
I'm expecting some hardcore hip hop stuff.
Right.
Remember
when I was saying I want a record for Hit, that it's like going to put it there. I'm hoping the 50 Nas record that Hit produces the record.
Well, see, that's the thing too. With 50 being 50, a lot of people look at 50 as the guy that could give you a hit record. 50's hit street shit is crazy.
That's better.
Exactly.
It's better.
50 street shit is his
better.
chamber. You talking about the What Up Gangsters? I just was talking about In My Hood. I love those records.
I play What Up Gangster today.
In My Hood, crazy. So if they're coming on some street shit,
Bonafide Hustle on Young
and
Buck's
50's
album,
on there, I'm with it. Did you
that might be the record.
Did you listen to that mixtape that 50 had? It was I think it was like Big 10 or something like that.
No.
Nothing but street records. That shit is hard. Go listen to it when you get a second. And like people be acting like 50 fell off or something. Like 50 never really fell off. He just fell out of the system. What he was making, the level of quality material he was making, never really faltered. It was the fact that Interscope was done with him.
How about this, Mike? Get Rich or Die Trying is closer to Illmatic than Reasonable Doubt is, and so there is a drop-off.
Well, it's a drop-off on...
It's a drop-off.
It's a drop-off on commercially viable stuff, right? But when it comes to that street
quality
shit...
too. Maybe not the street shit,
the street shit is always his quality.
Overall quality, though.
Overall quality, I'll give you that. But what I'm saying is when it comes to the street shit, 50 never fell off on that. Crime Wave, crazy.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
I can give you some of that.
Yeah.
But
because even I Get Money, that's him kind of tapping into his street shit.
I like I Get Money.
Yeah.
That's my shit.
That's when he's strongest with the street dark shit. So if he's on an album that's doing that with Nas, I'm with it.
Can't wait to hear it.
I can't wait to hear it either. Omar with the super chat says, putting this to rest, J-Elect and Stick producing songs for Nas on the Untitled means that they got writer's credit. Me, 10 years of entertainment attorney. Shout out to Omar, the entertainment attorney out there. Put everything to rest. Yeah, ain't nobody writing up for Nas. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Grammys know that they're full of it. They gave Nas a Grammy for KD, KD2, and KD3 were better. I'm sorry, they gave it for KD. KD2 and KD3 were better, but they were like, no, we can't give him more. I mean, I've said this on the show before. I think he got a lot of praise for KD1 because, okay, this is a victory lap. let's go ahead and give him his flowers. He's done.
I thought it was a victory lap. When
We
you sent
all
it to,
did.
When you sent it to me, I was like, oh, he doing an album? I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
I was happy he was doing an album, Mike. I was like, oh, he's still recording music. I'm like, that's so dope that he's still recording music.
Oh, no. We had no idea.
And then I heard 27 Summers. Like I think 27 Summers, when 27 Summers come on, I was like, oh shit. I was like, this nigga's back to rap.
Yeah, we heard KD too. We were like,
because
wow.
KD1 starts off like a victory lap.
Yeah.
Until 27 Summer come on, and it's like, hold on. It's like, I'm like, this ain't no victory lap.
I want to go back to our show when we originally reviewed KD1.
Yeah.
It was really dope because we were shocked. We were like, yo, this is much better than I thought it was going to be.
Is it Ultra Black in the 27 Summers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's when it started feeling like, I was like, hold on. I was like, because Ultra Black still kind of feels like, let me give you some classic pro black, like Nas type of like anti-system type of stuff. But then 27 Summers comes on and it's like, hold on. I was like, because Car 85 and Blue Benz are nostalgic too. So is the intro.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like, it feels like a victory lap. And then it kind of turns into, it's like, oh no, hold on. They're making an album. This shit sound good.
And I was on my old head shit, like, I heard the Hit Boy was doing the whole album. I was like, no, man, Nas need, the stuff that y'all be saying. Nas need Premier, this, that, and the third. Pete Rock, I want to hear him with that. But no, I was wrong. And Hit Boy went out there and did an incredible job on that, and then went back and did another incredible job on KD2, and then Magic, and then KD3. He just showed all the way out.
What do you think is Hit's best beat performance so far between these projects? Where are his best beats?
I mean, I would say KD3. In my opinion, because the versatility in it and the beat changes, I would venture to think that he would feel the same way.
I think it's Magic.
Think so?
Beats.
Okay.
Like,
are you just talking about just straight up beats?
Just
I'm
the beats.
still going KD3.
It's the beats.
Because you got stadium music on KD3.
You do. That's fair.
You experienced it at the Garden. Like 30 is stadium music, man. He gave you everything on KD3. Ooh. Even with the reminisce sample.
I think you're talking about production, though. Yeah, I'm talking about the beat. That's what I mean. It's like something about when the truth comes on. There's something about when 4016, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, shit's hard. I mean, all the beats.
Speechless, Meet Joe Black. No.
I'm going to go in reverse when it comes to production. I'm going to say KD3, Magic 2,
Magic is the beat tape is what I'm saying. Like KD3 is the production job. Magic is the beat tape.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from with that. Dame with the super chat says, as a Nas fan / stan, It Was Written is not better than Reasonable Doubt. I love It Was Written. It's a classic, but Reasonable Doubt is a setup. It's the hustler's Bible. See what else we got. I know we got a couple more super chats. D with the super chat says Nas and 50 should be fun. But man, I'm looking forward to LL and Nas on L's new album. Is the L album even coming? Because, and I'm going to say this as a fan, and maybe I'm out here taunting the stars to get the album, but you went from having Dr. Dre work on it, which we know that was never going to come out, to Q-Tip working on it, and we're still waiting for the last Zulu. Listen, I don't believe, and I know I told you guys last episode or one of our episodes that a friend of mine said that they're in the studio, they heard these LL Q-Tip songs. I'll believe it when I hear it.
Mike,
I'm sorry, man.
I'm gonna tell you what you've been great at on this show. When the album's not working, you've been great at pointing out that the guy's not working, the album's not working, it's not gonna be good. When Mike, I was telling people, forget that this whole Kendrick thing. Mike, I was the one that was telling you, it's like, no, man. I'm like, Mike, you're tripping. I'm like, Kendrick's going to come through. Kendrick's going to deliver. I was like, there's no way he's going to take this long to make an album and the album's not going to be good. And you're over here and you're like, Coop, he's out of material.
Yeah.
He's not. He was like, the reason this album hadn't come out is because he's not out of material and the album's not good. And he's like, when it comes out, I'm not going to expect it to be good. That was you telling me that. I was telling you that you were tripping.
Interscope is a well-oiled machine.
And then the album came out, Mike, and I was livid. I was livid on the inside because I was like, not only is Mike right, this album is awful.
I'm pretty decent at calling those things. I mean, we both said that Killer Mike was capping with the whole 3000 thing.
Bang, bang, bang.
It's laughable. Niggas is coming at us like, yo, 3000 got an album code. Like, yo, guys, it's not true, but whatever.
Look here. So it's very problematic how they did that.
And I love Killer Mike. And
Every
I love
time we
Drake,
talk-
man. I'm just being honest, man.
I mean, you have people who are like the people's champion, and it's like we don't always champion those people, so people have stuff to say about us. But it's like, but we're just telling the truth.
We're just telling the truth. And again, my whole thing with Kendrick and me feeling like he didn't have material is the fact that, first of all, he waited so long, right? And in this era, this is an era where you have to come forth in at least 2-3 year time increments. And for him to take a 5-year break, it means he really doesn't have much. But the big thing for me was that Super Bowl stage. That's the biggest stage possible. And Interscope is not going to miss an opportunity to put out a Kendrick Lamar album if it's fire right after the Super Bowl. That wasn't going to happen. And when that didn't happen, I was like, he ain't got nothing. I mean, straight up, they weren't going to miss that opportunity. It's Interscope.
I believe that is actually the tipping point where I jumped on your side, where I was like, yeah, Mike, you right.
Yeah.
He don't got it, because if he had it, that would have been the perfect time to kiki.
That would have inflated every number. And like you said, it's the music business. They're not going to miss no opportunity like the Super Bowl. If you got a great album and you're Kendrick Lamar and you're the leader of your
Dr.
school,
Dre, Eminem,
come on, man.
50,
that would have been the time to debut a song.
Snoop Dogg.
Right. He could have debuted a song if he had it like that. It's the Super Bowl stage. How do you not? Yeah, come on.
That's when things became very problematic, Mike.
That's when I knew. Yeah. Like,
and 3 months later, we got that midriff with a skirt.
Leroy Green in the super chat. He says, Coop, you know good and well that Get Rich or Die Trying is not closer to Illmatic than Reasonable Doubt. But you're standing on that notion that nobody can rap better than Nas. Question mark. Are you standing on that notion that nobody can rap better than Nas?
Do you have some evidence that somebody can rap better?
I think Leroy Green asked who you think is going to, if Lupe was on the track with Nas, who's going to have a better verse, like if Lupe was on Magic 2. You still got Nas in that? Okay. DeCarlo with the super chat says,
do we have some evidence that says otherwise?
You're going to love this one.
Letting a 50-year-old out rap y'all.
You're going to love this one. DeCarlo says, I don't like how y'all dismiss Cannabis like that. Y'all said better lyricists, not who made better albums. Pun versus Cannabis is very close.
Next super chat. That's how dismissive I'm going to be.
No. This is the thing. I love Cannabis. And, I think Cannabis in that time period, I mean, he made me throw notebooks away. But are we really going to, if we're going to be objective here, Pun is still the overall better artist. Now, if you want to say that Cannabis was better as a lyricist in that window of time, we're leaning on features, right? Because that's pretty much what it is.
How them songs sound?
We're leaning on features.
How them 3-verse songs sounds from Pun?
Yeah. Yeah, the 3-verse songs are much different.
Cannabis don't have a dream shatterer.
He don't.
I ain't never seen him spar with...
Buckingham Palace is probably the closest, I would say.
Mike.
Buckingham Palace.
Listen to what you just said.
Yeah. I want to ask DeCarlo this,
super chat.
because all of us were, hip-hop fans and listeners. I want to know, like, when you heard the Cannabis albums, the first two, were you disappointed, or do you think that he lived up to it? Because when Pun dropped his album, we felt like he lived up to the hype, right?
And the hype wasn't as big. And he exceeded expectations.
He did. Larry Love with the super chat says, gotta peep game, perfect time, and out comes the magic. I think Nas is about to pull a rabbit out of the hat with this one. This is gonna be dark. Okay. Think that's all the super chats. Now y'all keeping them coming. Andrew Williams with the super chat says, Mike, did you just ask if Reasonable Doubt is close to Illmatic? Now that's comical. Man, y'all are really stretching Reasonable Doubt out, man.
No, Mike, it's just like a top 20, 25 album versus a top 5 album, so it's not the same thing.
I think that's like Reasonable Doubt is definitely a top 20 album.
That's like comparing like Akeem Olajuwon to Bill Walton. It's like, that's not fair to Akeem.
Oh, man, so you're saying Reasonable Doubt's Bill Walton? I disagree with you on that. Now, I want my Rock Nation brunch invite. I'm not going to say that. Reasonable Doubt's not Bill Walton.
You ain't getting no invites, nigga.
No, you ain't getting no invite. I'm trying to go to the museum.
My invite was done a long time ago, Mike.
I'm not getting the Aftermath brunch invite. I'll accept that.
No, Mike, we not getting the aftermath brunch invite about
No,
the shit.
you stick up for M as you should. You know what I'm saying? And
Because of what he's earned.
yeah, you know, we got to have somebody here to play devil's advocate when it comes to that. Jay Short with the super chat says, Leroy thinks he's slick. Just because M got Jay on Renegade, he wants Lupe to get on the track with Nas to win the word count argument. Somebody brought that up to me the other day.
You want to know
of Renegade.
How about
Some
this?
people was like, yo,
how about this?
did M really get Jay on Renegade?
It's not. I told you that Jay is actually, I've said this on this show, we're in the early stages that Jay is using a double time flow where he's actually stacking the lyrics 2 for 1 in between the bars, but he's stacking them lyrically in between the bars as well. As in he's double stacking the lyrics, and then he's double stacking the lyrics between the bars. It's very, very hard to do artistically.
Do you think that Eminem killed him on Renegade?
Killed him is a strong word. Did he get the best of him? Yes, I do believe that. But Jay's right there is what I've always told people. Like you can be right there and somebody get the best of you in people's mind. I'll give you a prime example on Nas side. AZ on Life's a Bitch. It's like, well, Mike, you often say it's like, well, shit, I don't know if AZ's verse is really better than Nas's verse.
I think we're just so used to listening to Nas for that whole album.
Correct.
It stands out that you have another person that came along that has an incredible verse as well.
That's actually rapping on the level that Nas is rapping on.
Yeah.
So you're actually astonished that somebody's rapping on his level on this project where you hear him rap exceedingly well. And if you're hearing it for the first time, like I remember the first time I heard New York State of Mind, it's like, I was like, oh, I don't know if I've heard nobody rap better than that.
Yeah.
Like yet.
And then on the second song, AZ comes in.
And then on the second song, AZ comes in and it's like, hold on, I don't know if the first 2 verses I heard are better than this verse. And then Nas comes in and you're like, well, hold on.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you come in like, I woke up early on my born day, I'm 20, it's a blessing. The lessons of adolescence keep my body's not refreshing. You didn't really get killed. My physical frame is celebrated because I made it.
But you're like, when you hear, but if you've only heard him for 3 verses,
right,
and then you've heard a verse, I could see how you could feel that way.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's, yeah.
But when it comes to Renegade, though, and I know people are going to be like, yo, this is Mike on his slander shit. You also have to factor in the fact that this is already M's song.
Right.
He produced it. It already is in play. And honestly, Jay is adjusting on this record. And I think he's kind of chasing the beat. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. Talking about the Blueprint sessions, I don't think Jay really liked the beat. You know what I mean? I think he just wanted the Eminem feature more than he wanted the beat. And I think that a person like him who doesn't write, who comes off of rhythm and comes off of memory, if he's not feeling the beat, it's going to reflect in his delivery. You know what I'm saying?
His delivery is all-time great, so he can adjust on the fly. But
I don't think he really liked the beat. But
what you find is still conversational, Jay. Motherfuckers say that I'm foolish. Do you fools only listen to music, or do you just skim through it? You know what I'm saying?
Probably the most quotable line on that song, because people always quote that line.
The Renegade, I penetrate pop culture, bring them a lot closer to the block where they pop toasters. You know what I mean? That's still conversational.
Very flashy on there, though.
That's what I mean. He might have got the best of him, but Mike, we always talk about, no, that's still conversational Jay on Renegade.
Right.
And it's conversational Jay double stacking his flow. Even Emma said, it's like, well, I didn't get him. And this is what I mean. Here's where the takeover in Ether really, really mattered.
Exactly.
Is because
nobody was saying that to Ether.
The takeover made it was written seem like it was less than what it was, with the whole one was and the whole Eminem murdered you on your own shit.
Yeah.
Because he really didn't get murdered.
And you're a pussy a stan. Like, that's where the whole stan terminology came from.
Yeah.
When it was used in Ether. Yeah.
Pussy a stan.
Yeah. Like, that's where all that came in.
Right. Ether, stan, like all of that. And so that's where the battle like mattered, but he never got murdered on it like that. That's what happens in battle because everybody felt like it's like, oh, well, the white boy jumped on your best album arguably and bested you on your shit. Like
what I would ask somebody
in battle, you're fair game, Mike, and so like Nas just fair gamed on Ether.
No, he did what he had to do,
but he didn't get murdered.
But what I would ask people,
great line,
in relation on the blueprint, right? Where do you place Renegade on that album? It's nowhere near where one would place Life's a Bitch on Illmatic.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, okay, let's say he did get him. He got him on a record that's not even a top 5 record on that album.
I'm about to say Life's a Bitch might be like a top 5 or 10 street classic.
Yeah.
Like as in like album song. Like if you were like think about how many album songs have the think about it was never a single.
Yeah.
How many album songs are as infamous and as famous as Life a Bitch?
I mean, there's probably a few, but I think Illmatic is just such a moment.
But think about it.
There's a lot of album songs that get that kind of pub.
But who? What?
Off the top of my head, it's tough to think because I'm thinking about AZ and the career that he was able to build off of just that.
He got signed off a verse. He got signed off a verse, Mike.
For a song that's not even a single.
That's what I'm saying. How many songs are like that? That's what I mean. So Life's a Bitch is like a top 5, 10 street song ever. Just as far as like that song that's on the album that's so great that everybody talks about that it literally like changed things. You know?
Larry Love of the Super Chat says the only person that ever got off on Hove was Brand on its a thought. Hove on Renegade articulation was way deeper than him. So the only person ever got off on Hove was Brand on its own. Beans. Yeah, no. He's talking about Beans on its own. He said Brand. Yeah, he said the only person that got off on Jay was Brand Beans on its own. I'm with that.
Face got him on This Can't Be Life.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, man, when him and Sauce Money used to spar back in the day, them niggas was even. I don't care what anybody say.
Face Off.
Sauce Money and Jay is an underrated duo.
Bring It On.
Straight up. Bring It On.
Yeah.
Sauce is crazy on Bring It On.
Sauce is crazy on Bring
Jay
It On.
had to bring out one of his best verses on that whole album to hang with Sauce on that song.
Yeah,
I know Biggs was saying that his favorite Jay verse on that album is Bring It On. Bring It On.
I can see that.
Yeah.
High post like High King, I diamond gleam.
Crazy.
I got a lot of things. Yeah.
Yo, the way Sauce Money came in there on Bring It On, shit's crazy, yo.
Yeah. That's classic premium too.
It is, man. It's probably the most underrated song on Reasonable Doubt, in my opinion.
It's because it fell so late.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I think it fell too late in the album.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with Reasonable Doubt too. It's like I felt like the sequencing could have been slightly better.
I think so too. You could tell they did it on their own.
Yeah, you could tell.
You could tell that they didn't have some major label
like
A&R coming in
like
there.
Like Ain't No Niggas record
together.
number 9 and it's between Can I Live and Friend or Foe.
Yeah.
It's just kind of awkward when something like that, like Can I Live straight into Friend or Foe makes way more sense. You feel what I'm saying?
You're right. I didn't really like the placing of 22 Twos either.
I feel like 22 Twos actually. How about this? I'm cool with actually, if you go into the Evils and Bring It On, go back to back primo tracks, and then put
Evils and Bring It On together. That'd be crazy.
And then put 2022s in the back, because I think that's one of those good album sew up tracks.
Yeah,
where you just get to flex your style at the end, because it's like, oh, niggas already know you nice if they listening to the rest of the album.
Makai with the super chat says Nas is #1 all time, but if we're serious, Black Thought and Lupe could out rap Nas on a feature right now. Lyrical Titans.
Anybody can beat. It's like any given Sunday. You can beat anybody at any given time.
Yeah.
Like people have been
the
best.
Andre 3000 argument, man. Like, yeah, of course he could get on the track with anybody and probably had the best verse, but there's more than that.
You can get the best of somebody on a record. Like what? But what is that really saying at the end of the day?
Right. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, "You ain't got skills to eat a nigga like me, cannabis." I didn't even want to say what he really said, but yeah. Pause. Esquire with the super chat says, hot take, Face Off is the second worst track on Volume 1. I ain't mad at that, man. I wasn't a big fan of Face Off.
I know what girls like is worse. The City is Mine is worse. Sunshine is worse. So Face Off would be right after that.
I would say it's around.
Oh, no. Lucky Me. I don't like Lucky Me.
I don't like Lucky Me either.
Lucky Me's the other one.
I don't like Lucky Me like that.
It's
either.
like Volume 1 is so hit or miss. He's either epic or it's like.
It's one of the strangest albums ever to me.
It is.
Where the high moments are so high and the low moments are so low. And I think it kind of has a lot to do with what you were saying with Reasonable Doubt. The sequencing was a little off. Like they didn't. You could tell that with Volume 1, the sequence, it was even worse.
Like, I would have been cool if you just would have kept, like, The City Is Mine and I Know What Girls Like off and went straight into 1,000,001 Questions and Rhyme No More and Imaginary Player.
What was the song that you would say on Volume 1, if you take those songs off, the ones that are bad, what's the single on that album? What's the first, second, and third single on Volume 1 if you take off Sunshine and, you know, City Is Mine and stuff like that?
Well, Who You With was already on the Sprung soundtrack, so it was already a single. So
I know you're going to go with Who You With. That's fine. What else?
Okay, so you giving me 2 more after that? Or, I mean, Mike, I'll tell you what. I would take a shot and I would actually drop Imaginary Player.
I was thinking that too.
And I think if you do that, the legend of the song even grows and it's already legendary.
Yeah.
So I would go Who You With, Imaginary Players. Ooh, that's tough. I would keep it street and I go where I'm from.
I was gonna say you kind of got to keep it street at that point.
Yep, I would go where I'm from at that point.
I think Where I'm From is probably aged the best of most of all the records on Volume 1. Either that or 1,000,001. I would put 1,000,001 out actually.
I think Where I'm From was the best song when the album first came out, and I still feel that way.
I think Jay feels that way too, because that's the one he seems to always go back to in his set list.
Man, whether you're 4 feet or minute size, it always starts out with. Niggas thought they deuce was live. Oh man, yeah, he's
incredible,
he's
man.
Incredible.
Conversational
dude.
Jay is
so
the best.
Incredible. Yeah.
The caller with the super chat says, "I'll use what Busta said in his BET speech about how he liked doing features because it's easy for him to jump on a track and outshine anybody. I think that's Cannabis's strength, same as 3000, and that's fine. But we got to put that in context, and it's tough to really gauge that with people who do that and more, like a pun, you know." Andrew Williams with the super chat says, "I think y'all missed my super chat, fellas." Yeah, we got to get back to Andrew Williams. Humble Bragger with the super chat says, "Listen, man, put It Was Written in Reasonable Doubt both on the playlist and put it on shuffle. It Was Written is better." Coming in strong right now.
Production's actually better. Shout out to Trackmasters.
Shout out to Trackmasters. I think Trackmasters doesn't get their just due. Zuri with the super chat says, "Sunshine to me is a good song. I think the video ruined it." What say you to that?
It's just okay.
I never was a big fan of Sunshine or
Sunshine
The
is
City Is
okay.
Mine.
The City Is Mine and I Know What Girls Like, those are bad.
I think
Sunshine
I Know
is
What
just
Girls
okay.
Like is definitely bad.
That's the worst song on there.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
That's the
beat, like, what the hell
confusing-
were they thinking? Who the hell? Like, why? Beat
That
is
was a
terrible.
Puff Daddy thing.
That was a mail-in. Everybody mailed that one in. Puff mailed it in. Kim mailed it in. The producer, Jay. I was like, ugh.
Again, I think they were kind of searching for what was next at the time and didn't have a full grasp.
Put
on
that to the back of the album till you find out what's next.
Right. I mean, before we get out of here, I mean, I think we kind of covered just about everything. We wanted to have somewhat of a producer conversation, but man, I don't really even know where to go with the producer conversation. Maybe we could go regional, or maybe we could go generational.
Let's go Hit Boy right quick.
Okay.
So, does he stand anything to gain by this project being great?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So stakes are still high on the table, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because one guy's like clearly number one, and this is probably just going to like separate his number one status, even though he's already number one. But Hit's not number one. But what I would submit to you is that
He'll be there.
Well,
he'll be top 3, I think, if he stays on this course.
Who has made 5 quality projects like this in 35 months, if this album is what we say it is? Like, show me Pete Rock, Dre. Because the only person I can think of is RZA.
But what makes Hit a little different than even that is the hits that he's had over the past 10, 15 years.
We can just leave that out. Let's just keep it to the albums. You get what I'm saying? Because keep in mind, the Nas projects, well, there's a Benny project that's about to drop.
Right.
There's the Benny project that he already did.
Yep.
There's 2 Hit Boy projects that he's did, 2 Surfer Drown projects.
Yep.
And there's the music project.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people think I'm crazy for saying that.
Well, see, this is the thing.
Okay.
And see, we got to come together with some
crazy?
level of criteria.
I'm crazy.
Because it seems like with
Dr. Dre
producers,
get to make Aftermath Presents, but
Yeah.
Hit Boy can't make Surfer Drown Volume 1 or 2.
I agree.
Okay.
That's why we got to come with some sort of criteria, because when it comes with producers, it seems like it's all subjective. And so if we're going by some sort of criteria, then Hit Boy's top 10 status can't even be argued.
Right. Because like there are other guys who people keep putting in the top 10, and this is what I'm saying. No, you're talking about the beat maker.
Right.
I get what you're saying. Because do I think I played They Reminisce Over You today? Like, do I think that Hit Boy can make that beat? No. I don't think Pete Rock can make that fucking beat again either, though, Mike.
Well, Pete Rock
so
made Brutus.
That ain't no They Reminisce Over You. All respect due. But, you know, it's a big ask, and he's done a whole lot with these projects, and not just the Nas projects. It's like, no, I expect this Benny project to be a viable contender for Album of the Year, even if Magic 2 is probably expected to be better.
36 Chambers of the Super Chat says, just to clarify, are y'all planning a Stationhead tomorrow night for Magic 2? If so, is there a time that y'all recommend tuning in? Okay, well, let's do this now then. Tomorrow, Stationhead, Magic 2 album premiere, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Download Stationhead. Go follow According to Hip Hop, the number 2 on Stationhead, and we'll be on at 11:30. I know you say you got a couple things to work out. We'll work that out, and
you might be on at 11:30.
Yeah. I'll be on, and you know, Cooper's gonna chime in wherever you at.
Contact Stationhead.
I'll contact Stationhead after we're done with this show.
Yeah.
So contacting Stationhead, that allows us to do it together?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, it's not a battle, so, you know.
No, but I might be at a location where it's like, yeah, my in and out.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Stefan Young with the Super Chat says, Hit Boy is not top 10. Okay, with that being said, let's come with some criteria. DeCarlo says 3,000 versus Busta in a feature battle. Who wins?
Busta.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to say what the 3,000 stuff is without the Outkast stuff, but even if you include the Outkast stuff.
I mean, even if, like, you would need to include the Outkast stuff to make it more viable, actually.
Jermaine Johnson with the Super Chat says, what if this album is bad? How should we react? We'll react like it's bad. It is what it is.
Like, right, if it's terrible, we'll be like, I don't know what happened.
Right.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll just keep it real.
The album's not good.
Now, I don't foresee it being that.
I highly doubt that.
But when we're talking about criteria with producers,
right?
Where do we start?
I think you need 2 classics.
Album making, right?
Yep, I think you need 2 classics.
There's not a lot of producers with 2 classic albums.
That's why you need 2 to get in the top 10.
You
need 2 classic rap
or at least classic singles, right?
No, 2 classic rap
Where do singles factor in here?
I think you need at least maybe 2 classic singles too. 2 classic albums, 2 classic singles. Is that viable criteria?
I'm thinking of a rubric like we have with the MCs, right? So, classic albums being one, right? So if we're putting up the Neptunes and Timbaland, we'll say they got Hell Hath No Fury. Timbaland has, I guess, Under Construction with Missy. So we're gonna give that one to the Neptunes. Right.
I can feel you.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And so I think singles are important for producers.
They are.
So let's just say Hit Boy and Alchemist, right?
Right.
For singles, we're gonna have to get at the Hit Boy.
Right.
So I think that album making,
but
singles.
Wouldn't it be that way versus Preem too, though? And RZA.
Yeah. But I'm just putting some criteria out there.
But that's why it's kind of like that. Okay, I get what you're saying.
So I'm just putting some criteria together, and I'm just putting examples out there to kind of work with that criteria. So album making, should we do hit singles and then classic singles? Because they're 2 different things. You got Keep It Thorough, which wasn't a hit, and We Gonna Make It wasn't a hit, but they're classics.
Should that be one category?
I don't know, because I think for producers, that's 2 different things.
Okay.
Because a hit
I'm just asking
is
questions.
yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
Okay. So album making, classic singles, and hit singles. That's what we got so far.
Hit singles, classic singles, album making.
Shout out to Jay Boogie with the $20 super chat showing love. Says shout out to the chat, blessings, health, happiness to all. Big ups to the Knowledge Kings, always dropping jewels when this show is on. I would like to see Nas rewind every album back to Illmatic just for the story. That'd be dope. That'd be a dope storytelling song right there. He is the best storyteller too. I proclaimed that last show as well. You know, I had him at top 3 when we started this show, and he's gotten the number 1 on that too. Larry Love with the super chat says, nah, because Alchemist is boxed out with the criteria. He's one of the best without a classic album. Well, he got Alfredo.
I'm about to say, what do you think? Right.
He got Alfredo.
I told you that was a signature moment for Freddie and for Alchemist. As in, he hadn't made what I thought was a end-to-end classic rap album. It's like, oh no, Alfredo's that.
Yeah. 36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, for producer criteria, there should be a category like beat quality / production longevity. Okay, we're talking about how well the songs aged, or the beats aged.
Yeah, longevity of the
beat. Because in my opinion, Swiss Beats production from 98, 99-ish didn't age that well.
Level is high.
No, these are examples. I'm just trying to give examples.
Like, I think your beat making ability matters, because I think sometimes when people talk about a Metro or a Jay Dilla, they're talking about the beat making.
Right, because I feel like that about Timbaland. I'm like, you put that man in front of a beat machine, niggas ain't fucking with him. And he also says, because we sometimes think about the MCs on the track rather than the production, kind of like what we do with producers in a versus battle. That's real. Leroy Green with the super chat says, all serious though, respect to Nas, hope his album is crazy, and working on a backwards story dedicated to him in August. The contention of the gun. Now I'm happy until I felt somebody else grab me. Dope. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, by that I mean we confuse production sometimes with overall quality of song. A good producer can suffer from a weak MC. Same other way around too. I think RZA benefits from having strong MCs.
They benefit.
They benefit from having him.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, the benefactors kind of get equitable compensation on both sides. It's like, well, does RZA benefit from having Method Man and Old Dirty Bastard and Raekwon and Ghostface and Inspector Deck and the Jizza? Well, fuck yeah.
Of course.
But guess what? They benefit from too.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody could have made Liquid Swords for the Jizza. I don't think anybody could have made Purple Tape for Ray. I don't think anybody at all could have made Return to the 36 Chambers.
We've heard Beneath the Surface. We've heard
T2
We've heard
T2,
Judgment Day.
Right.
We've heard those albums.
Now, in fairness to Old Dirty Bastard, Nigga Please is that lick. Nigga Please is dope.
Well, he's different. Him and Ghost are different, and that's why
Nigga Please is dope.
They stepped out in a whole different lane.
Nigga Please is dope. People sleep on Nigga Please because he's not like all the way rapping, but it's definitely Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Big Baby Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing that came to mind.
You already know. He's singing Good Morning Heartache on there.
Right.
That's the joint with Khalees, too.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think reliance on samples could be a criteria as well. I like that. I think original music should get some extra credit. Because I spoke about this when we were talking about Just Blaze earlier. When the samples went away, Just Blaze is different.
So what are we making that category? Sample quality, sample level?
I don't know. Originality.
Originality.
Originality. Yeah. Because if you lean on trends and samples, that will affect your
the Chronic is a lot of samples, Mike. The Low End Theory is a lot of samples.
It is, but the originality's there.
Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music isn't though. So does Organized get a nod?
Yeah, I think that they could in that argument.
Feel me?
Yeah, there could be an argument made there.
Okay. I'm just asking questions, so we're just making sure that we're clear. Like Beats by the Pound / KLC for No Limit. It's like no. A lot of those beats from the mud, Mike. Ain't no samples on those beats.
Well, before we get out of here, let's knock down this criteria and see what we got, and we can go offline.
Right now we got hit singles, classic singles, album making, longevity, beat making ability, originality, impact. Mike, impact has to be there.
Yeah.
Impact has to be there.
How many is that?
That gives us 7.
Okay, I think that's a good number.
I think that's fair.
You think that's enough for us to be able to go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think if people give us something viable to go off of outside of that, because this is according to hip hop, we're actually gonna like listen to the people if we get some other viable input outside of those. But right now, I think that's a good solid. Like you said, we always have to be an odd number, so we have like some tiebreaker, like potential in play. Now, what is going to be the tiebreaker? Best beat. Best beat has to be the tiebreaker.
It has to be.
See, now for somebody like
Pete Rock,
like get out my head.
You're not gonna beat Reminisce over you.
Like how about this? What is RZA's best beat, Mike? That's why I have RZA so high. That's why I have RZA at number 2.
In my opinion, it's Ice Cream, but most people would say Cream.
Can I tell you what I actually think his best beat is? I think it's Shadowboxing, because I don't think Shadowboxing.
I'm with that too. I mean, I thought about that one too.
I think Shadowboxing actually might be RZA's best beats, because it's like that's
one of the best beats I've ever heard.
That's the beat that I listen to. I'm like, where the fuck did he get that from?
Exactly. I've always felt like that.
That's the beat that he made where I'm like, no, where he get that from?
Hearing Method Man on Shadowboxing made me want to rap.
Me too, Mike. Okay, so
I was like, whatever this nigga's doing, I want to be down.
So I'm gonna tell you the first. I used to try to mimic people's styles. So the first 2 tapes I was able to buy, which came out the same year in '95, was "Do or Die" by AZ and "Liquid Swords" by the GZA. AZ, of course, I had heard on "Life's a Bitch," and that's all I needed to hear. Sugar Hill had already came out. I was like, oh yeah, I'd heard 4 verses from him. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying that tape when I get some money. It was Wu-Tang was already Wu-Tang. The purple tape was still doing its thing when Liquid Swords came out, so that was like an easy cop. The first rhymes that I like ever wrote down to try to mimic myself after was AZ on "Rather Unique" and Method Man and the GZA on Shadowboxing. Mike,
Method Man on Shadowboxing is insane.
I remember playing Shadowboxing like maybe 30 times in a row, because I was just like, I had never like heard anything like that. I'm like, what in the fuck is that?
That song and How High changed me, man.
Yeah, Shadowboxing.
Larry Love with the super chat says, you can't take samples out of hip hop, period. We're not going to take samples out. It's the creativity side of it.
How about this? I think maybe we need to think of 2 more categories, because I think there's something to be said for how you freak a sample.
Exactly.
Like how for Havoc freaked White Lines into the Quiet Storm.
Yeah. And I want to give Just Blaze credit too with Kingdom Come, where he flipped that Super Freak from Rick James.
So
crazy.
Best sample flipper? Best sample.
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Stephon Young with the super chat says, Timbaland has about 50 hits and at least 4 classic produced albums. Hit Boy don't have 50 hits or 5 classic albums. You talking about hip hop albums? What are we talking about? Okay, Christopher Hogan with the super chat says, range of beats. DeCarlo with the super chat says, I'm calling it now. Dre, RZA, Kanye, Premier, and Puff will be top 5.
I like range of beats.
I like range of beats too, but it has to be hip hop.
That'll be it.
Yeah, 36 Chambers.
Range of hip hop beats.
Yeah, 36 Chambers with the super chat says, I mean, we can't have a Premier Christina Aguilera thing. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, how are we defining these producers? You could say some of Timbo's best work isn't necessarily hip-hop and crossover or crossover production. Okay. Well, I think that the thing is, if we're talking about overall producers, that's a whole different conversation. We're talking about hip-hop producers.
Well, the show's called According to Hip Hop.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're just sticking to that category.
Right.
Now, in an all-time producer list, maybe Timbaland would be over Premier, but not in hip-hop.
I mean, Neptunes and Timbaland specifically in this hip-hop sphere are going to ascend probably, and Jermaine Dupri are going to ascend past their contemporaries in the overall music sphere.
Right.
But in this hip-hop sphere.
Yeah, not so much.
Right. Like, how about this? Like, as a hip-hop producer, DJ Paul or Jermaine Dupri?
DJ Paul.
Right.
And I would like to hear, I want to say this too, I don't put this in the air. As much as I know that Memphis has been influenced by NWA and DJ Paul and Juicy J have been influenced by NWA, I would love to hear DJ Paul hook up with Ice Cube. I saw Ice Cube and Skinny Pimp take a picture together. We posted on According to Hip Hop. And, Skinny Pimp said something about it. I was like, that's what's up. People see, or I know how iconic that picture is, but a lot of people might not. The Memphis scene gathered a lot from NWA, and I think Skinny Pimp said himself he got his whole style from MC Ren. And so I would love to hear DJ Paul and Ice Cube connect, because we saw how Ice Cube was able to connect to Lil Jon. Just wanted to put that out there. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, RZA didn't just make beats for polished, ready-made artists / groups. He made beats, created the song, created the Kung Fu concept, created the group name, and created the group. That's different. That's very Q-Tip-like. I agree with you on that. Made a whole thing, but he did it for like 9 different guys. Ridiculous. All right, man, we got to get up out of here, man.
Yeah.
Stationhead tomorrow, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. You know, if we got to change anything, we'll let the people know.
Yeah.
But looks like Magic 2 is going to be dropping at midnight. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to listening to it with everybody out there. Like and subscribe according to hip hop. Hit the bell icon. Know when we live. You want to leave the people with anything, Coop?
No, I mean, you know what I actually had a thought of today, Mike? You and I were artists once upon a time, and one thing that I want to be careful of is like, I know this year hasn't been the year that we all wanted it to be or thought it would be, but we had to be mindful about calling it a bad year. That's not fair to the artists that have like really kind of put in work. Like I thought about a Jay Skis today, and I'm like, well, Jay Skis just made the best product that he ever made. It's not his fault that like it's in a year that quote unquote hasn't moved fast, you know what I'm saying? And therefore we want to try to maybe slide his project further down. And so that was something that was on my mind today. So it's like I'm always fine tuning like what we can do to be more objective. So that was one of the things I was looking within myself and kind of fine tuning today. It's like, well, I'm gonna try to be more mindful about saying that it's a weak year.
Well, that's well said, because again, Jay Ski show love. He put together a great project, in my opinion. I still think it's one of the best projects of the year.
I agree.
And he came through and hollered at us on top of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well said. All right, well, holler at us on Stationhead tomorrow night, and we're gonna review this thing on Monday. Woo! Like and subscribe. A2HH Live. Appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Peace.
What was going on back there, guys?